what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Hey, money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea!
OJ Simpson kills those two people so hard, they stop making the Ford Bronco.
Woo, that was close. How are we doing, everybody? Hi. Whew. Just as soon as I started that mens rea thing, I realized I didn't have a drinking glass here, so I had to sprint across the house and back here. How are we all doing? It is Thursday. It's OJ Simpson Day. It's been a while. We weren't able to do this last week because of the Anderson trial coverage. We got our co-host Chandler. She'll be joining us here in a bit. I almost said Chandler Halderson. That was funny. Chandler Remington will be here in just a minute. Oh, anyway. Oh, it's we need a break. We need to kind of take a little bit of a break. We had a rough 3.5 weeks. And here is our co-host. Hi.
Hi, good morning, or good evening, rather.
Yeah, still evening for another 2 hours.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just getting ready to kind of chill out and relax a little bit and get back to some degree of normalcy here on the channel, which is good. But before we do start with the with OJ here, still have to do a little bit of a breakdown from last night. Still feeling some things about that.
Oh, I felt a lot of feelings. Yeah. And I'm sure you did too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that might have a lot of questions, and I have a lot of things to gripe and grump about. I've got to find out why my family is sending me messages. Oh, it's my niece's birthday. Hi, niece.
Happy birthday, Jeff's niece.
Yeah. Yeah, so we all saw the verdict yesterday. I assume that we all saw it anyway. Before we get to talking about that a little bit, just want to do the housekeeping stuff. First of all, we have Chandler Remington here, who has started her new YouTube channel. She's been saying for a week now she'll have a video up this week. The end of the week is coming.
It's about to be ready.
Pressure.
I'm going to be posting something.
Pressure.
I think Sunday is the latest day that it'll be up, but I am anticipating it should be up before then.
All right. Not that we're going to hold you to
I'm a woman of my word.
We're going to hold
No,
you
I'm a woman of my word. I promise. I will. You'll see my intro video. It's not going to be much, but it'll be something.
And go check out her brand new channel with absolutely no videos on it yet. So you can be there from the ground floor. When she takes over YouTube, when she has 1 billion subscribers, you'll be able to say, I knew her when she had 0 videos. It's the same as her Twitter handle at Remy_legal, or just search for Chandler Remington.
There.
You'll get it. She's got the YouTube bug, and the only advice you can really give to people is just turn that microphone on and go for it. And let's see, we have two new members that joined last night. I know we said hello to Salty Rolster. I don't think we mentioned Claire 59. So welcome to the Clean and Sober crew yesterday. I don't think we mentioned that. We've got our poll up, so hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and take our poll. I think this is the first time we actually have more likes than we do have votes. It's usually the other way around by a good margin. Today is Fung based. I hit the like and subscribed. Wow, this is just full. I had to do this while my boss was sitting in my room today. And I'm listening to him like trying to type this, and it shows. I hit the like and subscribed. It says I hit the link and subscribed. Whatever. I hit the like and subscribe because he knew he funged up. He funged up and found out. He just just fung off. And OJ funging did it. Those are our choices. Let's see what I did there. A little wordplay. Aren't I just the creative one?
You're very clever.
Yeah, gee, thanks. So yeah, we did quite well yesterday. We achieved my goal of getting over 36,000. We're currently at 36,024 last time I checked. What's happened since then? So, we got one more subscriber since then. We're at 36,025. Awesome. We're slowly marching our way. We're less than 14,000 to the big 5-0. And when we get to 50,000, I will be doing a 24-hour drunken griftathon stream.
That sounds fabulous. I would love to join.
Everybody will be invited to that.
Excellent.
Like literally everybody.
You're going to get there sooner than you think. Oh, everybody who's watching. Everybody who's watching right now, if you are not subscribed to Jeff creates amazing content. Legal Vices is the channel to watch. And if you do subscribe, you will get to see us do OJ every Thursday. So please subscribe. It'll be worth it.
And we could do OJ every Thursday, literally until Armageddon. So we're good. We've got a lot of stuff to cover.
There's a lot of OJ to get through. I missed it last week, but I ordered a pizza and it said, and one of them was a fungi pizza, like a mushroom pizza, and they literally wrote fung on the box. And I was just nice. Like, I wanted to text you a picture, but I just thought I would mention it because I thought it was kind of cute. It's like I couldn't stay away from fung on Thursday. So
yeah, that's nice.
It was a delicious pizza too.
Wow. Oh, geez. I don't know how to segue. Okay, and what's coming up in the future? Like I said, after we kind of shake off a little bit of this Anderson trial for temporarily, because there are things in the works, to talk to various people involved in the trial. But that'll be a bit in the future. Everybody needs to decompress, settle down, assess things, and figure out what's going on. But until then, tomorrow is going to be just a total chill stream. For those of you degenerates that have seen like the mukbangs on YouTube, where you just get like grotesquely obese people just jamming food in their face while everybody watches. I'm going to be doing a tamer version of that tomorrow night. I swore I would never, ever, ever do one of those horrifically debasing things. But Meme Copium over there in Japan, he tweeted up a tweet of the newest Korean KFC abomination, which is a deep fried thigh patty, some pickles, sriracha sauce, a deep fried chicken breast patty, chili sauce, cheese, and a deep fried thigh patty. It's the Triple Down Burger, it's called. I'll be having that.
Double down.
Told you. Yeah, it's like the Double Down plus one.
The Double Down, like on steroids, basically.
And I was going to be having this Korean soju, Hwayo. I was going to have the 53% version, but it seems to be sold out everywhere in the country, so I had to make a command decision, and instead we'll be having the 41% ABV Hwayo soju with the chicken. So we just had to make a command decision and drop the BAC a little bit. What else? Oh, and I found a use for that horrific peanut butter whiskey. Peanut butter flavored whiskey. I made peanut butter and jelly ice cream.
Oh, you took my ice cream suggestion. I'm so happy to hear that. How was it?
I don't know. I just made it. We'll test it. We'll try it out tomorrow.
Okay. What kind of jelly? Well, like what flavor?
What I did? I used the peanut butter whiskey. Yeah, Fedorovsky says yucky flavored whiskey. It's really, really, really bad whiskey. I mean, it's just bad. I hate flavored whiskey, but Ari Jacobs, who comes on the channel occasionally, especially on the F at Fridays, she's always drinking that stuff. And I saw it in the convenience store here and went, all right, curiosity. Had one glass of it and thought, ooh, curiosity satisfied. And because what it tastes like is if you took like really like extra creamy peanut butter, melted it down in like a double boiler or something, and then added a bunch of vodka to it. And so it tastes just like liquid melted peanut butter with a strong alcohol aftertaste. And it's sweet as hell. So I thought, hey, that'd make a great ice cream. So I didn't put any sugar in the ice cream. I just used, because it's sweet enough, poured a ton of the peanut butter whiskey in there. And then I thought, I have some berry extract that I use for cocktails. And so I put a bunch of that in there, and it tastes. I only tasted the raw, unfrozen concoction, and it does kind of taste like a really good mixture of peanut butter and jelly, like peanut butter and grape jelly.
That sounds really good. I love how creative you are. That's I wish I could taste it.
Well,
maybe you'll send me the recipe.
We'll try it out on it's milk, cream, eggs, and peanut butter whiskey. Done.
All right.
That's it. But yeah, so we'll try that out on stream, and we'll see if it tastes because usually once it gets frozen, the flavors have more time to infuse, and it actually tastes better when it's frozen than it does just raw. But we'll see about that tomorrow. So it'll be chicken burger, Korean soju, and some peanut butter and jelly ice cream that I made. We'll see what happens.
Quite a menu.
No topic. It's just going to be a chill stream where people come on, we just talk about whatever, and just kind of hang for a couple of hours just to decompress and make sure everybody is okay and fine and everybody is having a good time. Monday's Maritime Monday. And also what we're going to do is start doing Monday just to see if it works. The Florida ice cream killer case. We're going to start streaming that. We sent out a poll on the post, and it was 70% said, yeah, go ahead and do it. Because what I'm planning on doing is doing the morning session one day, then the afternoon session the next day, and just going through it. We can watch it sped up a little bit. We can skip all the breaks and stuff. And there's two good news things about that. One good news about the ice cream murder retrial is, well, I guess there's three things. One, I know nothing about it other than it's called the ice cream murder retrial. That is literally all I know about it. But people are saying it was interesting, so I thought we would do it. And two, if you saw a couple of trials ago, we did the state of Florida versus Terry, the Stabby McStab face, we called him, where he went out and stabbed his girlfriend in the face a bunch of times outside the house and then cut her throat because she looked at another guy in a bar. Yeah. The prosecution was fantastic in that case, an amazing job. Played things by the book, no shenanigans, nothing. The judge was exceptional. And the ice cream murder is being prosecuted by the same prosecutor and the same judge in the Terry case. So that's why I want it's the same prosecutor too. I know it's the same judge. It's the same prosecutor too, isn't it? I thought it was the same prosecutor. I could be wrong. But anywho. Yeah, so anywho, even if it's not the same prosecutor, it's the same judge, and he's an excellent judge. And the third good thing about that is Steve Gosney said he would stop in as often as possible and hang out with us while we do that. So that's coming up, and we'll do that in addition to our regular streams. We'll do the Maritime Monday, we'll do OJ, and we'll do that if people like it, if it's worth your time, if it's worth my time. And then if it doesn't, we'll just pull the ripcord and do something else. We'll just see how it goes. Allison says, legal advice, does Korea have much in the way of dairy products? I heard they don't do so because many Koreans are lactose intolerant. It's the same as America. There's milk and ice cream and dairy farms and cheese, all kinds of cheese and everything.
As long as there's cheese. I could live without ice cream, but I couldn't live without cheese.
Yep, there's the whole range of dairy products here. Okay, so people are saying it's not the same. It's not the same prosecutor. We'll still be doing the regular stuff. This will be in addition to the Visine need case. And see, that's one thing that I'm going to try to do as many things as I can tomorrow as we just do our chill stream to update on where the various hearings are. Because tomorrow is also a big day for the Taylor business case. She's got her competency hearing tomorrow. And I may have an inside person who is supposed to be in or near the courtroom where business is going to have her competency hearing tomorrow. And he said he's going to try to pop in. And if he does, then he'll call in to us here immediately after the hearing is over and tell us what happened, so we don't have to wait for the news. So there's a lot of things that are coming up. And so we'll do this other trial plus our usual stuff. We'll have fun with it. All right. Well, that's a lot of background stuff, but we've been out of commission for almost a month doing this trial. So we had a lot to catch up on there.
It's gone on pretty long. A lot longer than I expected it to.
Yeah, well, that's what he said.
My elf that time.
We're coming to the end of the 4th week on our 2-week trial, I believe he said. So now that's what we got for the next 10, 15 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about the trial, the Anderson trial. For those of you that don't know, he was found guilty on all 4 charges. The stalking his ex-girlfriend, Sadie, stalking Gutierrez Jr., murdering Gutierrez Jr., and hiding Junior Gutierrez's corpse.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. It was rough.
Yeah, and I was really pissed off during the defense's closing arguments, and I was more shocked than everything. I was more shocked than anything, really, when the verdict came down. We were all essentially just sitting there speechless. Usually, there's some sort of reaction from the people that are watching the trials, but I think we were all legitimately dumbfounded.
Yeah, I was holding back tears. I honestly got really emotional about it.
And I felt weirdly, like, personally invested in this trial for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because for me, it was so overwhelmingly worthy of a not guilty verdict.
I agree. I didn't think that any of the counts applied. Genuinely.
I mean, like Murdoch, I mean, you could kind of go, all right, there's no evidence. I mean, I wasn't invested in that because, I mean, I don't know what it was, but I was still kind of disconnected from that and the other trials. But this one, for some reason, it was so ridiculous. It was so over the top. The district attorney was such a slime ball and did such a horrific job that I guess I got personally invested in it, and it was just crushing to hear that verdict.
Yeah, it really was. And honestly, I mean, when you compare to Murdoch, like, I watched the entire Murdoch trial. I came in to stream part of it. And the thing is that with Murdoch, after he was found guilty, Rob of Law and Lumber made a terrific point, which was that even if we don't agree, even if we think that there was reasonable doubt, it's a legal fact now that he is guilty of murdering his wife and his son. And I was okay with that. And with this trial, I was not able to really make that statement, even though it's technically also true. It's way too painful to acknowledge that it's a legal fact that Zachariah Anderson is guilty of murdering a man whose body we never found. So it's been rough. This one was, I was personally invested too, and I can't explain exactly why, but I feel the same way that you feel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen so many people. Well, I was just going to say, I've seen so many people talk about how, seeing this verdict in addition to the Murdoch verdict, like, it feels like sort of the death of justice in America. And I kind of get that. Like,
well, it's really
hard to explain. I can't say I disagree with that, and I don't want to think it. I don't want to feel it, but
it's just one more case where I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, no body, no murder weapon. The bad guy, his DNA is nowhere on anything that has anything to do with anybody. The alleged dead guy, there's no proven DNA anywhere, no proven blood anywhere. There's a tiny speck of something that may or may not be him. And even in the close, and I guess where it really just floored me was how bad the district attorney's closing arguments were. 93 minutes of maybe this happened, then maybe he did this, maybe he was preparing for this, maybe is not guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And I mean, I don't understand how the first time a juror heard the words, maybe he was preparing, they didn't just go, you don't have a clue, do you? Not guilty. I don't know how or why that happened. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, yesterday when we were watching the verdict, after the verdict came down, I wanted to ask everybody who was on the panel a question, which was, if you could ask the jury one question, what would it be? And my question was, what did you think of the prison snitch? Did you find him credible? Hayden's question was, how did you feel before the daughter said that thing about the gun? I feel like that might have been the turning point, and I agree with Hayden that could have been the linchpin, unfortunately.
That was the one thing that I said, was that if he's convicted, it will be because his daughter put him there. And I kind of believe that's the case. And like I've been saying, she was a snotty little kid, as teenage girls can be, as teenage boys certainly can be. She's a young teenager, rebellious, being snotty and disrespectful in court, but she's still a kid, and I'm worried that at some point, exactly what happened, what she did, is going to come back and haunt her in a big way. I mean, I know everybody kind of hates on her and things, and I do too, but I really do feel sorry for the kid that she was put in that situation by both parents, that she was used as a pawn and a tool by both parents, and eventually got to a point where she thought she would testify against her father to put him in jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah. She should have been protected. She should have been protected by the state. She should have been protected by her mother, by her father, by everybody in her life. And unfortunately, none of them did. They doxed her continuously. They said her first name in court so that everybody knew who she was. That was hugely problematic, especially that the prosecution did that so many times. And then they would go back and refer to her by her initials. Like, the damage is already done. But there was a very different feeling in like the long crime chat and the people who are very pro prosecution, who were like, oh, the daughter is my spirit animal. Oh, the daughter, like, don't mess with a sassy teenager. She just schooled the defense attorney and showed her who's boss. Like, she's so brave. Good for her. And honestly, the thing is, take the kid out of the equation. I'm not going to criticize her personally. I criticize every adult in her life who put her in that seat. That was wrong. That was messed up. It never should have happened. Her mother should have protected her. I completely disagree with that decision. It was egregious. And I think that disgusted me more than anything else in this trial.
I can't argue that. I really can't. We've got a few things here from people that are watching the chat. First of all, I'll get these 2 super chats out of the way. Unhung Hero says, Chandler, your new Twitter profile pic is fungin'. Jeff, hope you're feeling a bit less cranky. I'm always cranky, but I mean, this made me really cranky.
Thank you very much.
Wolfram, you can indict a ham sandwich. That's what they say about grand juries. Now you can convict a ham sandwich of murder with nothing but an allegation. An allegation and a cell phone. The cell phone mode. Legal Vices says JSDs. The popcorn shooter defense lawyer is the defense lawyer in the ice cream man trial. That's cool. Okay, so it's not the prosecutor I thought, and it's not the defense lawyer I expected. Are you familiar with the popcorn shooter case?
I am not.
Chandler? It's a guy, an old retired police officer that went to watch a movie with his wife, got in a fight with the guy in front of him. The guy in front of him fucked around and found out and got shot in the theater and killed over a damn argument.
Sounds familiar. I'm sure I heard about it in the news, but I didn't follow the trial.
I mean, it was basically the guy was talking on his phone. The old retired cop asked him to stop, and then instead of going, "Oh, I'm sorry," and putting his phone away, they got in a back and forth, which ended up with a shooting. And so he was acquitted. And the defense lawyer is the defense lawyer in the ice cream man retrial. So cool. We got a great judge and a great defense lawyer.
So that defense attorney is basically defending all the clients who are committing snack-based crimes. No. I'm sorry, it's a dumb joke. But.
No, I had to think about that. That's right. Okay, but he's the snack defender, the snack-based crime. That's a niche market, isn't it?
Well, like, remember the Twinkie defense? I mean, there's a history.
Yeah.
So you have, that this guy's just like, if you've committed a murder, with a pizza, if you slap your wife with a piece of pizza, like we were talking about yesterday on Hayden's channel, if you shoot somebody over a chicken sandwich, I'm your guy. I'll defend you. You should really put that on his card. Okay, I'm sorry. That was
or the Lionel Hutz. We win your case, or your next pizza's free. Unhung Hero, the YouTube channel Dreading, did a good video on the popcorn case. Okay, Dreading. I haven't heard of Dreading, but all right.
I have.
Cool.
I'll have to check that out. It's a good channel.
And Ms. K. Griff, Legal Vices, do you think our opinions could be influenced by seeing court proceedings that the jury doesn't see? That's something we talked about a little bit on Good Logic's channel this morning. I think so, but we don't really see that much. What was that?
I think there was just too much. There was just too much in court that we saw that I don't feel like that was enough. Personally.
I was trying to think of what we would have seen majorly in the arguments that were outside the presence of the jury. I mean, it's mostly just, can this come in or can that come in? I don't think there was anything too monumental, other than the near mistrial. Well, still the jury heard that. The jury heard that there was, that there was a text from her.
That's true.
Saying things. So
that's true.
Yeah,
right.
I think maybe to a certain extent, and we also hypothesized that, hearing our turn off my phone here, turning off the phone. There we go. Now we won't get any messages. Hearing our analysis could prejudice people one way or the other. Which, if that's the case, I'm glad, and that's what I want to have happen. So, I mean, we had 2,000-3,000 people watching every day, and if they saw how me, you, Ozzy, other people, anybody else that joined, even the lay people that joined, if people saw how we process, how we think about it, and that changes their behavior and makes them more open, if they happen to ever be called for jury duty, that's a good kind of influence that I want to have.
Well,
I want to influence people how to think.
You want to influence people how to think. I really like the way that you said that. Because I feel like Law and Crime does the same thing with their commentators, but they just do it in a different direction. And so if they get to do it, why shouldn't we? Provide an alternate perspective.
You're right. And of course, my perspective is always the right one. Just saying. Jeff, get a new camera? No, this is the same old camera. Same old. I just did this. Woo, look, I just kind of blurred it and changed my light a little bit. So yeah, that's all I did. No new camera, just changed the lighting position, turned off this gigantic stupid LED above my head. And over the weekend, there's a very, very good chance this entire thing behind me will change. I'm going to try to set it up in a smaller room in my house.
Nice.
Burdens of proof. The other one doesn't. The other one has blue walls, not green walls. Burdens of proof. I could probably use it as like a blue screen, but I don't. Anyway, Burdens of proof says cell phones were the biggest piece of evidence in both trials. This and Murdoch's. These pieces of technology will get you convicted for murder based on usage, or more so than the lack thereof. Yeah, that's kind of something we saw in both cases. Not using your phone is apparently evidence that you're trying to hide a murder.
Yeah,
taking a nap.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, moving his background is kind of blurry. That's the point. that's the point. Focus on my amazingly handsome face.
Yeah, I need to take a cue from you. I need to do my whole setup. You have like this ugly wall behind me. I have literally nothing. I'm like, I need to paint. I need to put up some pictures. So, in the works.
I've got. Well, see, I was thinking in the blue room. I don't know if I want to move my whiskey there too and have that as the background, or if I want to hang some of my art that I have not hung in 7 years in this house. 8 years now.
Whiskey, art.
Same thing.
I like both. I'd have to see the art, I think.
Yeah, VPN. It's all Cthulhu-based, gigantic, horrific monsters coming up out of the ocean. VPN shows your intent to deceive Big Brother. Gravely is a slimy POS, and Schrader is a dithering old man. I don't know if I'd go so far as calling him a dithering old man, but he's definitely past his prime. He's definitely past his prime. And he doesn't do the criminal trials anymore, so a little rusty. He was apparently, called out of, Yoda was called out of his cave in Dagobah to overtake to teach the young Jedis how to do things, I guess. Deanna says Jeff is tired of the dogs taking attention away from him. Oh, no. Because yesterday someone said something that reminded me that I have a spare cam. I was planning on sending it to Chandler, but she got a new camera all by herself that looks absolutely sharp.
No, I didn't.
Didn't you? What? I think you got a new camera.
I got a microphone and a ring light, and then my microphone was really awful, so it's literally just the ring light, but that's helping, I think, with the camera quality.
Oh, your camera
also realized
perfect.
that my settings, I realized were on super low, potato quality, so I had to turn it up, and I'm on my MacBook Pro from 2015, so the camera's, I'll save it for a new one, hopefully. Maybe some super
dog cam is the answer to me.
Dog cam.
We may have a floor level dog cam installed at some point in the very near future if I shift rooms. Anyway, that's kind of enough there. I mean, any last things you want to say about the Anderson trial for right now?
It's interesting because watching the Anderson trial, I was really taken aback by how inspired I was to become a defense attorney watching Nicole Mueller, who I have immense respect for. And when the verdict came down, I asked myself, could I deal with that? Could I deal with my client being found guilty after defending them? And I talked to my friend who's a prosecutor, and he said, no, this should motivate you to become an amazing defense attorney. So I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some justice out there. We have to still fight for it. We can't give up. I know people are really disheartened by the justice system, and this was a horrible verdict, but that doesn't mean that justice won't prevail.
Just, you follow your heart. Do what you do. Yeah, do whatever your calling in the law is when you get to that point. And
I think it's defense attorneys like Nicole Mueller who make the justice system better. And I think that you have to fight for your client, even if you know that you might lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to say, but I think defense lawyers are the ones that keep things together. People usually think it's the prosecution that are doing their duty to put the evildoers behind bars. It's the defense lawyers that keeps the government in check.
Well,
Zenith Anderson is beautiful and can sing incredibly. Man, what a set of pipes, says Rose's Law.
I'd love to hear her sing.
Floor cam means pants will need to be worn. Well, it depends. I would be like literally at floor level, so it wouldn't be like up where the seat is. But pants must be worn after seeing a few streams where cameras fall and people get liquored up and stand up and things like that. So, I at least wear shorts these days. Chandler, why do you have a piece of tape on your wall? Take it down, please.
Oh God, I can't. It's like residue from, I tried to put something up there and it looks terrible. I know I'm going to be fixing all of this, hopefully by the next time that you see me. So I'm going to be working on it. Sorry, it looks really bad.
Okay. Well,
just
with that, yeah, just ignore it, people. Come on. Should be focusing on Chandler, not on the tape on the wall behind her. What's the matter with you?
Thank you.
All right. We've talked about this a bit. We're going to let things settle down. Then we've got some other things in the works to sort of revisit the Anderson case. We'll talk about in a week or two, maybe, depending how things go. But right now we need to jump back into what we're all here for on our Thursday OJ Simpson trial. Our Maritime Monday trial on our channel here recently overtook OJ as in the viewership numbers, and our little OJ group here is the smallest stream we do every week. We've currently got 387 people here. It's a small group, but there's a lot of people who are very, very passionate about this and really enjoy it, and they're really getting caught up in it, which I think is good. And if this is your first time watching the OJ stream that we do here, as we said, every week we say the same thing. The purpose of this is not to convince anyone or change anyone's mind whether he's guilty or innocent. It's to let you see some of the best defense lawyers you will ever see on planet Earth practicing their craft at the highest level you'll see. And I've said this a million times. A lot of legal scholars have said that the cross-examination of Dennis Fung by Barry Schech that we're watching now is one of the greatest cross-examinations in history. Just in how precise, how targeted, there's just like nuclear strike after nuclear strike for nearly 9 days. And that's what we're watching. Bashing of EDB. Oh my God, really? I hope you're not talking to me. I didn't bash her. What are you talking about? What?
No clue.
Paula Williams says, Jeff, did you change your rules? A mod threatened to block us if we talked about fair and unbalanced, but bashing of EDB was allowed. Once you reach 700, go for it. I haven't changed anything. People don't threaten to block people if they talk about Farron, but why are you talking about her? She's not here. She hasn't been here for months and months and months and months, and I don't foresee her being here. Why are we still talking about it? Come on, chat, focus on what we're doing here. It's and I don't know what anybody said about Emily Baker, but that's Emily Baker's problem. Don't get ban happy people. Don't get timeout happy people. We only have the 3 rules. Don't say anything that's going to get me deplatformed. And don't shit on my guests when they're on my channel. And number 3, don't talk about he who must not be named. Andrew's son. We'll call it the Andrew's son rule. All right. Anyway, that's it. So come on, chat. You know how to just move on. Everybody, let's talk about this. We're here for OJ, nobody else. And it's, the problem is when people want to talk about, when they want to shit stir, when they want to breathe things up, what happens is 3, 4, 5 people literally derail a chat of hundreds, if not thousands of people watching. And we're just here to have fun. We're here to learn a little bit accidentally. We're here to talk, joke, and keep the jokes topic, whatever. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You just, you know the rules, my principles, govern yourselves appropriately. That's all I'm going to say. Because it's all that needs to be said. You're all adults, and govern yourselves accordingly. That's all I have to say. Extremely happy Simmer. There we go. Are you up for a fan meet in Seoul? Yeah, I was just up there last weekend hanging out with Legal Mindset. So yeah, anytime I go to Seoul, I mention it. So you stay posted. And if anybody comes down to Busan, hey, here we are. Alrighty, that's it. Let's stop talking about everything and start talking about the man of the hour, Dennis Fung. I can't remember where we left off 2 weeks ago, but he was getting bashed for doing something stupid because that's what's happened the last 10 weeks we've been watching him. So,
I can't remember either, but we'll find out. We'll catch up.
Yeah, I went back. I scrolled back 4 minutes just to see where we are and to watch things happening here. I think we've got Voldemort. We had to get waiting for the one last super chat to scroll up from Rick Nikeda. There we are. Voldemort. Yes, that one. Yeah. All righty. Dennis Fung is the LA criminologist who was responsible for collecting all of the evidence in the OJ Simpson trial. And he's getting savaged for the things he did and did not do by Barry Schech, who is one of the co-founders of the Innocence Project. Devastating cross-examination. And we're in the afternoon of day 2, or we've started day 3. I've literally lost track. I think we're in the morning of day 3. Yeah, yes. That's what I think too. All right, we're in the morning of day 3 of 8.5 days. All righty, let's go.
Therefore, you did not direct the photographer to take a picture. Is that what happened?
Oh, yes, that's where we were. Taking pictures of evidence and why he didn't do it.
Yes.
I don't know if there were 4 or not. The number 4 is the problem with the yes or no.
3 on the exterior of the Bronco?
I don't recall the number.
You don't recall?
Ms. Clark. That's twice for this witness.
Please repeat it.
Are you saying that you saw 3 red stains on the morning of June 14th?
Overruled.
No, I'm not saying that.
Are you saying you saw 2 red stains?
How many
I do
red
remember
stains,
that
Fung?
there was either a stain or 2 stains that were very light along the sill area that I did not collect.
Can you point out for us, using the Elmo, the area in this picture where you claim to have seen some red stains on the morning of June 14th? There's Elmos everywhere now.
It assumes the fact on evidence that it be on this.
Sustained.
Well, you were just making reference before in answering my question. You were looking towards the monitor and indicating something about an area, were you not?
I was trying to find some detail in the photograph that could help me, but it's really looks fairly washed out to me.
Well, can you just show us
It could be
the
those
area
high-quality CRT
where
monitors
you're
laid on their
claiming
side,
to have
though.
seen red stains on the morning of June 14th?
Could you rephrase the question, please?
Could you show us the area in this photograph where you saw red stains on the morning of June 14th?
I'll have to make several assumptions in doing so in the photograph.
Well, does this photograph depict the area?
It does, but it does not show sufficient detail for me to point out specific areas.
Well, can you just direct the pointer to the area as best you can?
As best I can, making some assumptions.
This is the 1990s, sir. Photos are terrible.
Oh, he said it depicts the area.
Speculation.
Go ahead.
Up higher. Okay, slowly to the right. Down lower, slowly to the right. A little higher in that area there.
Okay. Can you direct it in a circle? How far did they extend?
No, that's not the area I indicated.
Okay. Let's try again.
Oh, yes,
Right.
it's all coming back to
Okay,
me
a little
now.
lower there. Nope, a little higher. Okay, and
You
now
take
just
pictures of
maybe,
these blood spots.
A little bit more to your left.
Hang on.
A little bit more to the right. Okay, now you're covering it. That's just about the area.
Okay. Can we print that and make that appendix next in order?
1098. 1098, Mrs. Robertson?
In fairness
1098.
to Fung, you really
Next in
can't
order,
see
please.
anything.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep my microphone
did
muted
you
unless I'm speaking because the
report
dog is attacking
to
a
anyone
2-liter bottle.
seeing
It's loud.
a red stain on the exterior door of the Bronco on the morning of June 14th?
No,
Did you make any notation of it?
no,
You went back to the Bronco for a visit on June 28th.
yes,
Did you see the red stain on June 28th?
I didn't look for it.
You went with another criminalist. Mr. Morakovo, if I pronounce that.
Mastrocovo?
Mastrocovo. Did you point it out to him?
No, we were there for a specific collection, a directed collection.
You were there to get the shovel and the plastic bag and the towel.
That's all.
And you did a pheno test on the towel and it came out negative, right?
I don't know if we did it on that day, but at some point, the towel was tested in the field. I don't know if it was done on the 14th or the 28th. I'll have
Now-
to check my notes. The towel was tested on the 14th of June.
On July 6th, you took another trip to the Bronco at the request of Ms. Clark.
Yes,
And you did this just before you testified at the preliminary hearing.
yes,
And that was after Detective Fuhrman had testified at the preliminary hearing.
yes,
And you were informed by Ms. Clark that Detective Fuhrman had testified to seeing 4 red stains on the exterior of the door sill.
she didn't name Detective Fuhrman by name. but she did say detectives had seen them, and she would like me to do a presumptive test on those areas.
You're muted.
And we all remember the racist cop Fuhrman. Allison says another detective Fuhrman. No. The same detective Fuhrman. The same guy that was on the stand saying that he's never, ever used the F-bomb ever in his life, specifically not in the last 10 years, even though he was proven to have used it on tape at least 41 times.
The N-word,
yes. What did I say?
The F-bomb.
The F-bomb?
Different thing.
Yeah. N-word. Yeah, totally different thing. You can say fuck, but you can't say the other one. But no, this is the same Dennis Fung. On this, dang me, this is the same Dennis Fung, but it's also the same Fuhrman. Fuhrman was at OJ's house. He was one of the first group that went over to OJ Simpson's house. And while all the other detectives were up at the top of the driveway, he was down at the bottom of the driveway. Nobody asked him to go down there. He didn't tell anybody he was going down there. He wasn't assigned to go down there. He just walked down there by the Bronco, and they were standing on the passenger side of the Bronco, far away at the other end of the driveway. He walked around the driver's side of the Bronco all by himself with no other detectives around him, and suddenly went, "Aha, I found blood." All by himself with no one else around. And then just shortly after that, he was all by himself, all alone, with nobody around him, with nobody telling him to do it, nobody knowing he was doing it, and nobody watching him do it. Went down this little back alley behind the house, between the house and the fence, and said, "Oh, look, I found a bloody glove." So, yes, that's the same Fuhrman. So, yep, same guy. He found all of the important evidence. He found the glove. He found the blood on the Bronco, both times all by himself with no one around, no one watching him, and no one even telling him to go anywhere or do anything.
It's kind of amazing how they found one bloody glove at the crime scene and then one bloody glove at the killer's house. Yeah, kind of amazing.
It's inherently
so
weird.
Much evidence. That's just a slam dunk case, you know?
Now, careful. We have sarcasm handicapped people here. Yeah, they'll go, "Oh my gosh, see, even Chandler thinks it's true."
You guys will get to know me. I have a pretty dry sense of humor, and people can't always tell when I'm being sarcastic, but I'm frequently sarcastic. So if you're questioning whether I'm being sarcastic, I probably am.
Probably am.
Anyway, moving on.
So yeah, that's and they testified to all of these things. Him finding the glove, finding the blood on the Bronco where he wasn't supposed to be, wasn't told to be, didn't tell anybody he was going, wasn't assigned to, and was out of sight of anybody else when he found them. Then they said, "Oh, let's listen to this tape of him saying that he doesn't like black people, and if he sees a white woman with a black man, he'll find a reason to stop him, and if he doesn't have a reason to stop one, he'll make one up." That it wasn't a good couple of days on the stand for Mark Fuhrman. But yeah, he's the Mark Fuhrman that found the glove. That's why Barry Schcheck here is making a point of that. So yeah, that Fuhrman found these, didn't he? And as long as we're stopped, Busan, where they had that perimeter, yep, just the Busan perimeter ended just a little bit over a couple miles from the house. For all of you Korean War history buffs. Unhung Hero says, "Let's funging go." Thank you so much. Rick Nikita says, "There are 4 lights."
There are 4 lights.
Yeah, I guess you have to say it like that, don't you?
You do.
You do. Lady Magdala, or Magdala, however you want to say it. P.S. I found Jeff through EDB at Pudding Way, and there are several of us here. Love you. I'm just curious how you would find me through Emily Baker. I'm pretty convinced she doesn't even know I exist. Huh. That's kind of cool. Well, I'm just curious. Did she mention me, or did you get suggested a video after watching one of hers? Anyway, Burning Sensation says, "Streaming a pug attacking a 2-liter bottle will get you a bigger audience, Jeff." Yeah, but I don't have a pug. I've got 2 English bulldogs, and I had a pug once, Barkley the Wonder Pug. That was many, many moons ago. Many eons ago. Actually, I guess you could say many decades ago, and it'd still be the same. But
Barkley,
yeah.
That's a great name for a dog. I love it.
Well, it was named after Barkley the dog on Sesame Street. Big
That's
Bird's
cute.
friend.
I was thinking
Yeah.
Charles Barkley, but
That's what everybody else thought. But now I named him after the dog on Sesame Street. Even though I was like in my 30s when I got him.
Well, everybody thinks I named my cat after Django Reinhardt, but I really just named it's my mom who named my cat, and she's just a big Tarantino fan like I am. So Django Unchained.
And of course, you're obviously named after Chandler Bing.
I am not. I actually don't know where my mom got my name, but
that's what everybody thinks, even though
well,
it's
I was born before Friends, so
yeah.
Sorry,
it's impossible.
Wrong.
All righty. Let's get back to this while he's mentioning my stuff.
And did she tell you on the morning of July 6th that one detective had testified to seeing it, these red stains,
so.
And 2 other detectives had testified at the preliminary hearing?
Tweet it to me.
Hadn't seen it.
The Legal Vices at Twitter.
She didn't indicate anything to you about a
And I'll
conflict in
post
testimony.
She just requested me to look specifically at that area and do a presumptive test on it.
Now, this trip that you made to the Bronco on July 6th, you first revealed this in testimony at a hearing in October of 1994.
Yes.
And that was when you were called by the defense to testify.
I don't recall who called me, but I did testify.
Do you recall on direct examination in October being asked questions by Dean Ullman?
Yes, I do.
You know who he is?
Yes.
And he asked you questions about the number of times you had taken trips and inspected the Bronco.
Yes.
And when he first asked you about this trip to the Bronco on July 6th, you told him, I went to the Bronco and looked to see if it was there, referring to the red stains. That's all I did.
On July 6th?
Yes.
Page and line, counsel.
Yes. It's the transcript.
All right.
October 6th. And I'm referring to questions that begin at 2581. And maybe to make it easier, I'll start on line 1 of 2581, and I'll read.
Let Mr. Goldberg catch up.
Mr. Goldberg's slow. And again, like we always do, whenever he happens to be in court. American Dreamer, apologies, Jeff. I need my Crowder fix. As the old saying goes, this ain't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Yeah. Bye. I'm more important than Crowder. Don't ever forget that, American Dreamer. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Bye.
Just kidding. We'll see you later.
See you later.
Come back.
Or don't.
Because we're more important than Crowder. All right. The reason we always stop it whenever he's in court, is this gentleman back here is the one and only Robert Kardashian, head of Clan Kardashian, Kim and the rest. Well, there is some questions about at least one of them, but he's the presumed father of the clan, of the Kardashian clan.
I love when you pointed him out a couple weeks ago and you were like, it's all his fault. And I was like, what? And you were like, the Kardashians, the fact that they exist, it's his fault. That man, it was like the funniest freaking thing I've heard in a while.
He made Kim Kardashian and some of her sisters. Yep. So anyway, we just randomly point that out too, in case people who are here for the first time didn't know he was involved. That's how the Kardashians got all their seed money to do all the stuff. Was from dear old entertainment law daddy.
Yeah, he was good friends with OJ, and he actually wasn't a working attorney at the time. He reinstated his legal license in order to be a part of the defense team.
That is a true story. And Legendary Racing has 2 super chats in the works. Better Chandler Bing than Chandler Halderson. And I almost did call you Chandler Halder. Well, I came very, very close to calling you Chandler Halderson before you got here.
I mean, you say that, but it's like it's a different reference than I've been getting for the last almost 30 years. So I'm just like, finally a new Chandler to compare me to. It's not a great guy.
Finally, someone who chopped up his parent. I can be convicted. I can be compared to someone who chopped up his parents and shot him in the back and tried to roast them and possibly ate some of them. Legendary racing. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I prefer Raymond Chandler, but anyway.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's probably the best of the 3. To be fair, that's more evidence than Anderson or Murdoch. Yeah, the blood specks there on the door. That is true.
This is the hearing on October 6th. If you want.
Yeah, I know. It was witty, so I copied it. If you don't want me to read anything of yours that's not a super chat, I'll be happy to do that. You know how nice I am. I read things that aren't even super chats. See, I'm still snarky today. Urgh.
I like snarky Joe.
Oh, she's got a peach cravat on today. I didn't notice that before.
Your Honor, we'll ask that Mr. Scheck read from the official transcript because there's no vouching for the accuracy of what he's done.
Are you?
Hold on. Let me see counsel with the sidebar, please.
I am so happy they edited out the sidebars.
This is October 6th. And for the sake of clarity, Your Honor, I'll begin actually at page 2580, line 23,
and maybe
which
Chloe's
is the very
dad.
beginning of the direct examination by Mr. Ullman. Question. All right, Mr. Fung, you participated then in 2 different searches of the Bronco automobile. Is that correct? Answer, yes. Question. 1, on June 14th at the print shed. Answer, yes. Question. And then a second one on June 28th at Vertel's. Answer, yes. Question. Did you visit the Bronco on any other occasion other than these 2 occasions when you were executing a search warrant? Answer, yes, I did. Question. When was that? Witness, let me refer to my notes. Brief pause. Answer. There was an additional time where I was asked to see if there was additional blood on the exterior of the door. And I did that the first time I testified on the same day that I testified in the preliminary hearing. I don't have that written down, though. Question. Okay, so you have no record of having made another visit to the Bronco automobile to examine it? Answer, no. Question. You did not prepare any report to that effect? Answer. I went to the Bronco, looked to see if it was there, and that was all I did.
Yeah, see, that's a bad thing if you're admitting as a criminologist to going and examining a piece of evidence and not making any written reports about doing it. Some people could construe that as you're going there off the books to do something with the evidence, to tamper with it, perhaps. Not a good thing. I think the goat scream is coming close to being activated for the first time in a month. Yeah, so he's testified he went to look at the Bronco, and that's all. But there's no report of it. There's no report of what he did, when he did it, anything he looked at or touched. Not there. Just his word that he just went and looked at it and walked away. Just look with his eyes.
It could be either really shoddy police work or trying to obfuscate and hide something that you don't want other people to see. Either way, it does not look good at all. Nope. You need contemporaneous notes.
Which he hasn't done for anything in here.
Were you asked those questions and did you give those answers?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
Now, later on, in your examination at that hearing, you were asked some questions by Ms. Clark. Starting on page 2584, 2585, 2586.
Huddle. It's time for a prosecution huddle.
What do you think they're saying?
Oh my God. Why does every one of our witnesses suck so bad? Jesus, can't anybody do anything right around here? At least that's what I'd be saying.
I feel so bad for them. I mean, I have no idea, but I mean, I would be like, we're totally screwed. What the hell do we do?
To try to get our two
Will this ever end?
correspondence we're reading up to.
I cannot imagine being on the prosecution, watching this go on for days and days and days. It must have been brutal. Poor Marcia. Poor Chris.
Yeah.
Just to pick up the theme for a second, Mr. Fung, we just reviewed is that when you answered Mr. Ullman's questions, you told him, I went to the Bronco, looked to see if it was there, and that's all I did.
That's all I did.
You recall giving that answer?
Yes.
All right. Then when Ms. Clark asked you questions, you were asked these questions and you gave these answers.
What do you think, guys? What are the odds that the answers he gave this time are different than the answers he gave before? Because again, Barry does not ask a question he doesn't know the answer to, or he's not virtually certain he knows the answer to. So his first testimony, I went and I just looked to see if someone had moved the van. The van was still there. The Bronco was still there. So I went away and did nothing else. Let's see what he said this time.
Question. Now, on the date that you went back to the Bronco to look at it, which was the second day of your testimony, answer, I think so, yes. Question, it was during your testimony at the preliminary hearing during that time. Answer, yes. Question, how did you go get to the car? Were you just able to walk in through an open door? Answer, I went to Vertel's tow and I showed my badge or something to the attendant to let me into the garage area or the tow yard. And then I went into their print area and observed what was on the driver door. Question, so you had to show identification in order to be allowed in? Answer, sometimes I have to show identification, but if they recognize the police car, they'll open the door for me. Question, so if they know that you're a police officer, they let you in, otherwise you have to show identification? Answer, yes. Question, and when you made that examination, you looked at the bottom of the driver's door? Answer, yes, I did. Question.
He's getting a little more detailed.
Answer, there was a dark area with the appearance of possible blood. Question, did you test it? Answer, yes, I did. Question, and it gave preliminary tests for the presence of blood. I'm sorry, question, and answer, it gave preliminary tests for the presence of blood. Where you ask those questions,
that's a little bit different than just going and look and see if the van's there and leaving, isn't it?
A little bit. God, that's just terrible.
That's it. That's all.
I want to hear more.
Okay. All right. You're usually quite talkative. You're awfully quiet with your answers today. I was like waiting for more. I was waiting for more to come. All right, let's see what else he's doing here. So Yeah, it went from I just went in and I looked to see if it was still there to, oh yeah, I went there, walked around the side, checked on the blood stains. I swabbed him. I did a little bit of a preliminary test. Yeah, a little different.
Answers to Ms. Clark.
From the best of my recollection, yes.
Okay, and what do you think? Is that a lie?
It's your testimony, or is it your testimony, that on July 6th, you went to Vertel's, the request of Ms. Clark, and you looked for blood stains on the exterior of the Bronco door?
The exterior of the Bronco door by the door sill.
Where you indicated, the general area you indicated in the picture we showed you.
Yes.
And is it your testimony, sir, that you saw dark spots there?
It was dark in comparison to the rest of the vehicle.
You mean it was darker than the bright white of the vehicle? No.
I don't believe it was red at that time.
Were you alone when you made this visit?
I believe I was.
Did you bring any photographer with you?
No.
Did you conduct a presumptive phenolphthalein test?
Yes, I did.
And you got a positive result?
Yes.
And at that time, you did not write any report about having performed such a test?
That's correct.
You did not take any picture of those dark spots that you claim to have seen before you tested it?
That's correct.
Now, on July 6th, you came back to testify at the preliminary hearing.
Yes.
When you came back to testify, did you report to Ms. Clark that you had seen these dark spots on the exterior of the Bronco door?
I don't know if I relayed that to her at that time or if I had relayed that information to her before.
Well, you went out to look at this the morning of your testimony.
That's correct.
And are you saying that after looking at those dark spots, testing them for the presence of blood at Ms. Clark's request, that you did not immediately return and report to her what you had seen and what you had done?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Are you saying you don't recall, sir, because you think that that's going to be of some assistance to the prosecution's case here?
Sustained.
When you perform a phenolphthalein test, withdraw. When you performed the phenolphthalein test on the exterior of the Bronco door on July 6th, you took a swab and you put some distilled water on it?
Yes.
And then you put that swab onto the dark spot you saw and removed some of it?
A portion of it, yes.
Sure of it.
Wow, he did a lot more than just look at it.
Now, at some point, did you report to Ms. Clark what you had done on July 6th?
I did relay to her at some point that I had done what she requested of me, yes.
Did she take any notes?
Do
when you
not
relayed this information
misidentify
to
my
her?
goat. It identifies as a
Don't believe
goat.
she did.
It's a goat.
Where
Sure
did
will.
this conversation take place?
It was in the DA's office someplace.
Did you relay this information to Ms. Clark before you testified on July 6th and July 7th at the preliminary hearing?
I don't recall when exactly I related to her.
Can you think of any possible reason that you would not tell Ms. Clark on July 6th or 7th what you'd seen on the bottom of that Bronco door, if you'd seen it?
Assumes that's done evidence and sorry.
Overruled.
No, it's not. asking for his view on it.
They seriously object? Jesus.
Was a minor thing in my mind.
Excuse me, it was a minor thing that there was 4 presumptive tests of blood conducted on the van, on the Bronco, that there was no reports written for. Nobody knew you did it. Nobody told you to do it. Nobody knew you were doing it. You didn't bother to tell the prosecution that you did this, and there's no evidence that you ever actually did any of this shit, or that you should have done this. You didn't think that was a big problem. Sorry, everybody. We need to do it again. All right, let's go.
I didn't. In my mind, I didn't place a lot of significance on it. It was a request that she made of me, and I performed the phenolphthalein test. And at a later time, I said, I've done it. And that's all I thought about it.
Jesus.
This is the most beautiful impeachment. I'm so impressed.
What was that?
I was just saying this is one of the most beautiful impeachments of a witness I've ever seen. It's so impressive.
It is.
I mean, prior inconsistent statements. Oh, I didn't think that it was important. Sir, in your first statement, you said you just looked at it and then didn't do anything. And then apparently, oh, I forgot. I didn't think it was that significant that I went and then I tested these smudges on the door. Excuse me. I'm sorry. No.
And they all tested positive for blood and didn't write a report, et cetera, et cetera.
That is not how that works. That is not how that works.
Yeah, Ben, it says link, but you're supposed to read it as like. That's the poll for today, by the way. Now that we're at the halfway point, we're at the 1 hour and 12-minute mark. We've got the like and subscribe poll. Those of you that are here, we got 458 of you and 345 of you here, and the universe has come back into balance because, as normally, there are more votes about the like poll than there are likes. Now the universe is back where it should be, although it's exactly the opposite. Hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please check that you rectify that situation. And if you have subscribed, please make sure you're still subscribed. Getting messages again over the weekend, over last weekend, saying that people were unsubscribed. Just double check that, and then take our poll. Today's poll, how are we doing? 5% of you said you hit the like and subscribed because he just fung off. Wow, this is pretty close. 30% said I hit the like and subscribe because OJ funging did it. And 32% of you said he knew he funged up. And 33% of you said he funged up and found out. Take our silly little poll just to remind you to hit that like button and to subscribe if you haven't already done so. That's it. Let's see. Do we have... Nope. No more super chats, no more things to read. We are good. Let's get back to it. Unless Chandler, anything left to snark about before we continue more snark-worthy coverage?
When we first started covering this, when you first brought me on, I felt bad for Dennis Fung. And now that I watched this a little more, I'm really enjoying watching him get caught in the web and being entangled. I don't have any sympathy for him anymore. I think he's incredibly corrupt or incredibly incompetent, and he absolutely deserves everything that he's getting on the stand. So I'm just really enjoying this.
See, and that's one thing I've been thinking about more and more watching this. And I mean, clearly he's not a part of it because, he's kind of beta looking and sort of beta-ish. Was talking about the LA police gangs that are an issue over in your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
The various factions and the various police gangs. I've been thinking about maybe doing a show or two on those.
I'd be very interested in maybe contributing some research or potentially coming on if you would like to have me.
If it happens, you will be invited. Let's see what. And now this, for those of you that don't know, this testimony, this devastating cross-examination of Dennis Fung led to nationwide sweeping changes on how evidence is collected, labeled, preserved, reported, etc., etc. So, he's like the guy from The Simpsons that has like the warnings, like, see, because of me, now they have a warning. This is Dennis Fung. he can say, hey, look, yeah, I shit the bed ridiculously and everything I did sucked and I got crucified, but look at all the sweeping changes that I brought about in law enforcement. So he can take this as a W if he wants. His incompetence and ineptitude, that really tightened up police evidence gathering.
Well, he really humiliated the prosecution, like, seriously, very badly. So I can imagine they didn't want a repeat of that. Anybody, anywhere in the country.
And I'm sorry, I can't not mention this anymore. He's got this weird, like, ridge line in his ear that just kind of really distracting.
Is that a question?
You thought it was a minor thing.
I didn't think it was needed a report written at the time that I did it.
Why wouldn't you
fill out a report about doing this until October?
That's correct.
But it is required at the SID laboratory, at your crime laboratory, that if you are to perform a presumptive test in a case, you're supposed to make a record of it.
Sir, I'm very lazy. You don't understand.
That's in that proposed manual, but I don't know if it's actual policy or not.
Well,
They just kind of do things loosey-goosey.
That when you perform a presumptive test on an item of evidence in a case, you make a report about it.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant? Irrelevant? They did not.
In certain instances, yes.
You would make a report about it if it really happened. If you really went out there and saw those dark spots and did a presumptive test, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm going to sustain the court's own objection to that question. Rephrase the question.
That was so good.
Would it not be your practice if you had in fact gone out, seen dark spots on the door sill of the Bronco on July 6th and done a presumptive test, would it have not been your practice to make a report about it?
Gotcha, bitch. Necessarily, no.
I didn't really feel like it that day.
So
Wasn't in the
minor
mood.
an event that you not only didn't tell Ms. Clark about it, but you didn't feel it necessary to make out a report.
Sir, we typically don't self-report our fuck-ups.
I told Ms. Clark about it at some point in time. I don't recall when, and eventually I did make a report.
And you're telling us, sir, that on July 5th, you thought that seeing a red stain on the exterior of that Bronco door was a minor thing not worth mentioning.
I want to rephrase the question. You got the date.
You thought it was a minor thing not worth mentioning to Ms. Clark.
I may not have had the opportunity to sit down and talk to her about it. I don't recall when I talked to her. I may have talked to her about it at that time. I don't recall when, though.
Well, you testified at that preliminary hearing on July 6th and 7th.
Yes, I did.
And that testimony was on national television.
Yes, it was.
And you were recounting the events of June 13th.
Overruled.
It's also irrelevant.
Overruled.
Shut up and answer the question.
I was recounting the events of
Yes.
June 13th.
Part of your preliminary hearing testimony under questioning from Ms. Clark was to recount the events of June 13th and your role in collecting evidence.
Yes.
Are you telling us, sir, that you did not have a discussion with Ms. Clark about your testimony before you testified?
I did have a discussion with Ms. Clark before I testified.
And in that discussion, did you give her any report about seeing dark spots on the exterior door sill of that Bronco?
Vegas.
Overruled.
During our conversation, that was the point in the conversation.
English, motherfucker,
where
do you
she
speak
requested
it?
me to look specifically and do the test for phenolphthalein at the bottom of the door sill.
Oh, so you had a conversation with her on July 6th, and when the issue arose about these red stains, she then directed you to go to Vertel's and look at the door sill.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, please clarify.
There was a conference that we had prior to my pretrial conference or pretrial hearing testimony in which we discussed what I did. And at that time, she made that request for me to do a presumptive test at the driver door sill of the Bronco.
Oh. And when she made that request, did she suggest to you bring a photographer so that you can document the existence of these red stains before you do a test?
No, she did not say that.
Did it occur to you that that might be a good idea?
Not at the time, no.
When you finished this test and your observations on July 6th, I ask you again, sir, did you come back and report to Ms. Clark before you testified on your findings?
I don't recall if I told her before I testified or not.
At the preliminary hearing,
oh God,
you were asked no questions, were you, about seeing any red stains at the bottom of that Bronco door?
Your Honor, that's a no.
Overruled. Do you recall?
I don't recall.
And you did not testify, sir, about seeing red stains on the bottom of that Bronco door.
Irrelevant if he wasn't asked.
Overruled.
Irrelevant?
I don't recall.
Mr. Fung, isn't it true that you never saw any red stains on the bottom of that Bronco door on July 6th?
No, I did see a stain that gave a positive for the presence of blood at the bottom of the door sill there.
Isn't it true, Mr. Fung, that you never removed anything from the bottom of that Bronco door on July 6th for purposes of performing a presumptive test?
I did perform a presumptive test on a dark stain at the door sill of the driver door.
And you removed some of that stain, some of that evidence for purposes of your test?
Yes.
Because you've told us that the stain is the evidence.
Yes.
And you're sure of that?
Yes.
You're as sure of that as the fact that when you took that envelope on June 13th, you didn't take it with your bare hands?
It's argumentative, counsel.
Mr. Fung, isn't it true that you went out on July 6th to look at the Bronco simply to refresh your memory for court?
I went there specifically to look at the driver door sill and perform a presumptive test on it.
Mr. Fung, you are aware that a Detective Muldorfer from the LA Police Commission conducted an investigation with respect to break-ins of the Bronco at Vertel's.
Sustained.
Were you questioned by a Detective Muldorfer with respect to your visits to the Bronco?
Irrelevant.
Overruled.
No.
No? Were you questioned by anyone from the LA Police Commission with respect to visits to the Bronco?
No.
No recollection of that at all?
None.
You do not recollect telling Detective Muldorfer or anyone else about all the different times that you visited the Bronco at Vertel's?
Oof.
I don't recall any personal interviews There may have been a phone conversation, but I don't recall.
So you recall a phone conversation?
There may have been a phone conversation, but I don't recall any personal conversations.
Did you not, on August 8, 1994, have an interview with Detective Muldorfer with respect to your visits to the Bronco?
I don't recall.
Was it a Detective Carson?
I don't recall any personal interviews.
Did you tell anyone on August 8th that you visited the vehicle on July 6th to refresh your memory for court?
I don't recall saying that.
Did you tell anyone on August 8th that you did not remove any evidence from the vehicle on July 6th?
Your Honor, I object. That's not inconsistent.
Overruled. Overruled.
I did not collect any evidence that day.
Well, when you performed the presumptive test, didn't you just tell us that you were removing evidence by taking that swab and swabbing the dark spot?
Overruled.
Taking a swab for presumptive tests and collecting are two different things.
After you took the swab and rubbed the dark spot on July 6th, was any red stain left?
I don't recall if any was left or not. I don't think I used up the whole stain.
Well, if you didn't use up the whole stain, did it ever occur to you to suggest somebody should go back and take a picture of what was left?
No,
Never made that suggestion to anyone.
no,
Ms. Clark never told you to go back and take a picture of it.
no.
Didn't you tell someone on August 8th, with respect to this investigation of the Bronco, that you did not remove any evidence on July 6th, and you did not notice any papers in the vehicle at that time either?
I didn't look for papers in the vehicle.
Are you sure, sir, that you did not tell someone from the LA Police Commission that you visited the vehicle on July 6th to refresh your memory for court and you didn't remove any evidence from it?
What do you think the answer is going to be for that? I just love this. He asks him for 15 minutes. You took evidence, didn't you? You told people you didn't. You told people you didn't, right? You did it, but you told people you didn't, right? Right? Are you sure you didn't tell this to somebody? That's usually followed up with evidence that he actually told people. I mean, he is a really bad witness. Just all the way around.
Worst witnesses I've ever seen. And it's not that I've watched that many trials, but oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah, no, I was going to put up a super chat and I accidentally clicked it off here. Thanks. All the way back at the 11:15 mark. Hang on, let me scroll back 5 minutes in the chat. It's so much easier to scroll back when there's not 2,000 people texting rapidly. John Gordon said, what did the redirect look like after 8 days of this? Stay tuned for like 6 months from now when we get there. But I mean, what do you do? You know,
I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to redirect. I mean, you know how they had that little huddle with all the prosecutors and we were asking, you know, like, what do you think they're saying? I think Marsha Clark at some point was like, you think if I get a perm, it'll fix all this?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is the worst witness I've ever seen. And it's amazing because I can't decide who's worse, Mark Fuhrman or Dennis Fung. They're both terrible, terrible witnesses. Just absolutely like.
Well, one's a horrific racist
really
that
bad.
admits to plant evidence and collects Nazi memorabilia. So, and Dennis Fung's just incompetent. So I know who I vote for being the worst guy of the two.
I haven't watched Fuhrman's testimony yet, but I would guess it's probably Fuhrman. It's just this
Yeah.
is so bad. It's I'm trying to figure out how do you top this, but I guess I kind of know the answer to that question.
And Noel DuPay says, was Fung fired after this? No, he continued to work for the LAPD.
Fuhrman was, though.
Well, yeah, Fuhrman was fired and admitted to perjury later that year. And now he lives in a compound somewhere in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And occasionally you'll see him talking about the Idaho murders. He's given commentary a few times.
Weird.
The
Didn't know
University of Idaho men, yeah. The University of Idaho murders. He's given like two opinions on that, I think, that I've seen so far. But yeah, did he have a nervous breakdown? He was pretty close to it at the end. And this would be my worst nightmare as a witness. I know I've mentioned it before. It's kind of a spoiler alert, but you can see where it's all leading. He was so funged up by the end of his testimony. At the end of 8.5 days of testimony, and like I said, this is only the morning of day 3. There's still almost 6 more days of this to go, and it does not get any better. It is just continually being hammered like this. He was so discombobulated by the end of it that he got off the stand, walked over to the defense table, and shook their hands and hugged one of them. That's how badly he was messed up in the head by the end of his testimony. He shook hands with and hugged the defense team.
I'm sure this was traumatic for him in more ways than one.
Oh, yeah.
He got shafted, but rightly so. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can see exactly what's going on here. I don't really have to say it, do I?
No. Let's continue here.
I don't recall the exact conversation. I don't even recall talking to somebody from the LA Police Commission.
You're welcome.
One moment.
Do we continue to pound the snot out of him right now, or what do we do? All right, let's continue. Let's keep the beat down going.
Mr. Fung, before we leave this topic, let me just show you some documents to see if they refresh your recollection.
Sustain.
Well, you've indicated that you don't recall speaking to anybody from the Los Angeles Police Commission with respect to your visits to the Bronco.
I don't remember any specific conversations, no.
All right.
A couple more questions.
I'm sorry?
A couple more questions.
All right. Would it refresh your recollection, sir, to examine some documents as to whether or not you had any conversations with someone from the Los Angeles Police Commission with respect to your visits to the Bronco?
It may, but I don't know what the source of the documents are.
All right. May I approach, Ron?
You may.
Yes. All right. Ask that.
Why don't you just show it to counsel?
Yes.
We approach the moment so the court can see. Take a look at this.
I'm aware of what these documents are, counsel. We had a whole proceeding on these documents.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Please.
Mr. Fung, please take your time, showing you a series of documents. And in particular, I'm going to address your attention to paragraphs, the page that's marked here, 1187. And there's another short one here. I've tabbed them with yellow Post-its. Please take your time, look at all the documents.
Look at everything.
As long as you want.
and I'll just stand here right next to you and make you really uncomfortable while you do it.
I just love Barry's perseverance. He is so persistent. He just wears him down over time. It's amazing the stamina this man has.
To keep it up for as long as, well, that sounded weird. To continue the cross-examination as long as he did. Yeah. It's 1:35 a.m. where Hayden is. That is correct. Come on, Fung. Read those documents. And Rose said Fung has been working at the University of Albany IT department since 2001. Different guy. Definitely different guy. Silence. Barry Schcheck founded the Innocence Project together with the other defense lawyer with the curly hair that's sitting at the defense table.
Sir, having examined these documents, is your recollection refreshed about having a conversation with anyone on August 8th about your visit to the Bronco on July 6th?
Even from reviewing those notes, or that report, my memory is not refreshed.
So as far as the way you would like to leave it, sir, is that you never...
Phrase the question.
Is it your testimony, sir, that to the best of your recollection, you were never interviewed by anyone from the Los Angeles Police Commission with respect to your visit to the Bronco on July 6th?
Sustain.
Were you interviewed by anyone from the Los Angeles Police Commission on August 8th, sometime in August, about your visit to the Bronco on July 6th?
I don't recall any personal interview. It may have been telephonic.
Well, do you recall a telephonic interview?
No, I don't.
I like how Schcheck just looks disgusted with his answers.
Yeah.
Like, you read the report. Did you have the flippin' interview or not? Maybe been telephonic. Do you remember having a telephonic one? And he's like, and he just saunters off. I just like his dismissive. He just looks put out by the answers. I want to watch that walk off again.
Let's do it.
Let's see if we can get to. God, I hate this stupid. I wish Court TV would get the back arrow 10-second thing. I don't want to go back forever, so we'll go back to micro dots. We'll go back about there, 20 seconds or so.
Anyone?
Yeah, we'll go back a couple seconds. There we go.
It's worth it.
Your recollection, you were never interviewed by anyone from the Los Angeles Police Commission with respect to your visit to the Bronco.
Just listen to how he's talking. Like he's talking to a stupid little kid that got his stupid hand caught in the stupid cookie jar. And the stupid kid is saying, gee, mommy, it wasn't me. Your hand was in the cookie jar. Do you recall trying to take the cookie out? I just like that. Just like, can we, yeah, just that. He's just, I just love this presentation.
Oh, his tone is excellent. And I also just really love how he's standing right next to him that way. Like,
but not looking at him.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of his mannerisms are really admirable. Like there was this moment where he looked over at Marcia Clark when he was asking a question about her and he just looked disgusted with her. His whole attitude, he's just presenting this, he's representing reasonable doubt. He's bodily personifying it. I really love that.
Jeff are you kidding me? An appropriate cross-examination question. This is the body language equivalent of "Are you kidding me?" question.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's exactly what he's saying with these mannerisms, his vocal inflections in the question.
But he's doing it without being condescending. Like he's doing it being likable. Go on. Sorry.
All right, let's watch the questions and watch just when he walks off. I just love the way he's just like, I guess I'll go back to my podium. You're useless.
Sustain.
Were you interviewed by anyone from the Los Angeles Police Commission on August 8th, sometime in August, about your visit to the Bronco on July 6th?
I don't recall any personal interview. It may have been telephonic.
Well, do you recall a telephonic interview?
No, I don't.
Merc. He's like, I'd say, all right, whatever.
So good. Big fan. Huge.
I have an ad blocker. That's how I'm doing
is your
the court TV without
testimony,
ads.
sir, with respect to red stains in the Bronco that you're given to this jury in any way motivated by a desire to cover for Detective Fuhrman?
No.
I use uBlock Origins. What I use uBlock. Protect Fuhrman.
Now, I'd like to turn to a new topic, Your Honor. I won't be able to finish it before the break, but might as well start. I can't.
Try.
I'll do my best, but we're going to. Mr. Fung, you've told us that on the afternoon of June 13th at Rockingham, you received Mr. Simpson's blood vial from Detective Van Adder.
Yes.
You did not receive this blood vial for the first time on the morning of June 14th.
That's correct.
I think this is an interesting thing to point out. They didn't have the buccal swabs at that point for DNA. So everything had to come from blood, basically. That's why we have all these blood vials laying around. Yeah.
Now, did you discuss for preparations for this case, the district attorneys, this issue as to when you received the blood vial?
First question.
Did you discuss with the district attorneys the circumstances of how you received the vial in this case?
Yes.
And was that an issue that you discussed at some length?
About 15 minutes.
Did you discuss the issue about how you received the blood vial with Michelle Kessler?
I don't believe so, no.
With Greg Matheson?
No.
With Detective Van Adder?
By issue, do you mean why it was done that way, or?
Did you discuss with Detective Van Adder before you came here to testify, preparation for your testimony, the circumstances surrounding your receipt of the blood vial from him?
No.
Oral.
Did you have any discussion with Detective Van Adder concerning how Mr. Simpson's blood vial was turned over for purposes of booking?
you repeat that question?
Could you tell us, you said did you have some discussions with Detective Van Adder about Mr. Simpson's blood vial?
Yes.
When?
The day I received them from him.
Since then, any discussions?
Not to my recollection, no.
Any discussions with respect to the decision to bring the blood vial from downtown to you at Rockingham?
No.
Did you discuss the circumstances of receiving Mr. Simpson's blood vial with Detective Lang prior to coming in here and testifying?
I don't recall any discussion about that, no.
So other than the prosecutors, in preparation for your testimony, you have not had a withdrawn. Did you discuss the circumstances of the receipt of Mr. Simpson's blood vial with Andrea Mazzola?
I only stated to her that we did receive, or I did receive the blood vial from Detective Van Adder.
When did you have that discussion?
That was the morning of June 14th.
Now, who was present, according to you, at Rockingham when you received the blood vial from Detective Van Adder?
We were in the foyer, and I was there, of course. Detective was there.
I can see his hair going gray in real time.
I know there were other detectives around, but I don't recall who they were exactly at that point in time.
So you're saying that was in the foyer of Mr. Simpson's home?
That's when I received the envelope containing the vial of blood.
That was inside?
Yes.
Was the door closed?
I don't recall.
Can you describe for us in as much detail as you can recollect exactly how this transfer occurred?
Detective Van Adder said to me, or something to the effect of, I have Mr. Simpson's blood, and I want you to book it.
Now you made a gesture with your hand.
Yes.
And are you indicating, sir, that he then gave you something?
Yes, that he gave me the envelope containing the vial.
All right. And where was he? Was he holding it in his hand?
Yes.
When did you first see Detective Van Adder before he gave you this envelope?
I don't recall exactly when he came, but I do recall that particular event.
If only he took notes on anything, maybe he would be able to recall something that happened in the investigation. He doesn't seem to remember anything. You know. Where'd he go? Gee, where'd you go? Ack. Yeah. Oh, he's aging before our eyes, spinal column shrinking. He's aged 40 years in 3 days. Yeah, beat down. I wish I was drunk. How are we, lads and lasses? And Jeff and Chandler. We're great. Welcome. Great to have you here. I wish I was drunk.
Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, definitely thanks for the super chat.
Did he take it out of something, or did he just have it in his hand?
I don't recall.
Did he pull it out of a black duffel bag and give it to you?
I don't recall him having a black duffel bag.
You didn't see him carrying a black duffel bag?
No.
Did he take it from a clipboard and give it to you?
I don't recall him having a clipboard either.
So, to the best of your recollection, Detective Van Adder handed you a gray envelope and he just had it in his hand.
To the best of my recollection, yes.
And then after
just
you
walking
received
around
that
with the
gray
envelope.
What did you do with it?
I wrote on the envelope that I received it from him, and I put the time, date, and my initials.
Oh, so now you're
And
documenting
what
things.
did you do with the envelope at
I
that
say, wow,
point?
he's never done that before.
Maybe he had some extra coffee that day. He's in the mood finally to do his job.
I looked inside to make sure that there was a vial in it and that it was in a condition that was unopened. And I
A
put it
violin.
in the crime scene truck.
Well, we're still in the foyer when you got it, correct?
Yes,
Did you open it, the envelope in the foyer?
yes,
And that's when you looked at it?
at the vial,
Yes.
yes.
And when you, did you then, what did you have with you at that time, if anything?
Nothing. I'm an idiot.
I had a pen.
And
Ken.
after you received the envelope from Detective Van Adder in the foyer, did you then walk out the door to the crime scene truck?
I don't know if I did that immediately or if I had other things that I had to do prior to that.
Did you put this envelope in a brown paper bag?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Did you put it in your black kit?
No, I don't think I did that.
Did you, at some point, walk out of the foyer to the crime scene truck holding the gray envelope?
I don't believe so.
But what did you do with it? How did you get it to the crime scene truck?
It may have been in a paper bag, but I don't recall if I actually did put it in there, or it may have been put in a posse box.
It's possible you just walked out the door with the envelope in your hand?
It's possible it was telekinesis.
It's possible, but I don't think that's likely.
Yeah, he took way too long to answer that question. You just walk out of the house with some evidence in your hand. Yeah, he actually had to think about it and still couldn't say one way or the other. Yikes.
All right, Mr. Scheck, we're going to take our break at this time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please remember all of my admonitions to you. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves. Do not form any opinions about the case. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you. Do not conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. We'll stand in recess until 1:30. Mr. Fung, you're ordered to return 1:30. All right, we'll stand in recess, and greetings to Judge Scott. Mr. Scheck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as I'm sure the court is well aware, one issue of great interest in this case are the activities in the at SID on the morning of June 14th. And discovery request was made for computer records that reflected who went in and out of the doors in various rooms at SID. And the prosecution, in particular, the evidence processing room on the morning of June 14th. The prosecution turned over to us a series of pages starting in the murder book at DA 04329 to DA 04334. Actually, these pages are backwards in terms of chronological order. That is to say that 04329 purports to be records of June 16th, and then they go from the 16th to the 15th.
Probably that's how it came out of the photocopy machine.
Whatever it did, the 14th to the 13th. The problem is, however, with respect to on page 04333, we received records about June 14th, and those were the only records we received. The records of June 13th were then contained on 04334. So these are consecutively numbered pages. We noticed this morning in preparation for court that the first entry that we had on June 14th for someone entering the evidence processing room was 9:27 a.m. Actually, what I request is that perhaps these pages be marked as exhibits at this point in time.
All right. Defense next in order, which would be 1099.
My colleague, Mr. Neufeld, who is a bit under the weather, has been monitoring these proceedings from his hotel room and made a telephone call to Greg Matheson at SID during the course of the testimony of Mr. Fung and made an inquiry as to whether or not there was a additional page reflecting who went in and out of the evidence processing room on June 14th. And again, Mr. Neufeld was reviewing those records that I've just mentioned to the court. Mr. Neufeld informs me that Mr. Matheson confirmed that we were indeed missing a page with respect to earlier times, but indicated that he did give that page to the district attorney's office. Mr. Neufeld has read to me over the phone information that he received from Mr. Matheson with respect to the times.
On the 13th or the 14th?
I'm sorry, on the 14th. Right. The times of the 14th in the missing page. And those times contradict, I believe, the testimony of Mr. Fung. We have Mr. Fung in the evidence processing room at 7:45. Then we have him back entering the evidence processing room at 7:50. And we have other individuals in and out of that room starting at 6:03 a.m. And my concern, Your Honor, is that we didn't get this page and the consecutive numbering of the documents. And obviously, would we request an explanation for the prosecutors if this court were to make a finding that this document was deliberately withheld? What we would ask is that we get an actual copy of this document to the court, that we confront Mr. Fung, but most importantly, that the jury be instructed that the document was intentionally withheld, if that in fact turns out to be the case. All that I can do is relay the information that I have. It's a matter of concern to me, but of course I await the explanations from.
All right, Mr. Goldberg.
Come on, Goldberg, explain why you didn't give the documents over. Saucy, spicy.
Yes. Ooh.
Shenanigans.
I want to know the answer. Shenanigans indeed.
Find out.
Shenanigans.
Your Honor, I think counsel has unintentionally misstated the record. I don't believe the defense ever made a request for access in or out of the room. The way it came about is I asked for those records for the purposes of trying to determine certain time sequences, and voluntarily produced them to the defense without any request whatsoever. So I'd ask Mr. Scheck, if he can, to find the citation in the transcript where that was requested, because I'm simply unaware of it.
Oh, I don't dispute that the events may have occurred that
Mr.
way.
Scheck, before we launch into that issue, the issue that I'm concerned about now, since I have a jury waiting, is where is this document? Can we make it available for Mr. Scheck to examine and for both sides to examine? And let's continue with the cross-examination and redirect of Mr. Fung. And we can take up to the issue.
Oh, Judge Ito. Oh, you naive soul. Redirect is so far away. And you remember from a couple of weeks ago, in the morning of day 2, he started questioning on the afternoon of day 1. In the morning of day 2, Judge Ito said, "You have until the afternoon to wrap it up." And Barry Scheck said, "We might go. We're going into the afternoon." And then Judge Ito got all pissy when he wasn't finished by lunch, and he said, "It's going to take a little bit longer than that. Like 7 more days." So Judge Ito here is still thinking he's gonna wrap this up in the immediate future, not 6 days from now. Poor Judge Ito.
issue of where it was and why it didn't show up in your package at a more appropriate time. But I would like to get finished with Mr. Fung today.
I just would like to say for the record that what I have in my notebook is identical to
I'd
what
like to get
counsel
finished with Fung
described.
today.
And I personally Xeroxed it and have delivered it to them, which probably counts for why it's in reverse chronological order. Xeroxing is not one of my strong points, but I would just like to say for the record that I just
My
think it's
paralegal does that
unfortunate
for me.
Every single legal issue that is raised is always couched in terms of some allegation of misconduct, and I just think it's a very sad way. to litigate.
Counsel, I'm not immediately leaping to that conclusion, so don't
Pounding the table.
get your feathers ruffled up at this point. My concern is let's proceed with the
He's better have a damn good
cross-examination.
excuse.
Can we get this document? Can we get somebody to fax it to the court?
I want to be clear, I'm just stating the facts. I would certainly concede that I do recall that we did have that conversation, more or less as Mr. Goldberg says it, in terms of we were interested in these documents and he was too.
I can gauge from your tone. Wait. I'm not interested in this issue.
That's fine with me, Your Honor.
I don't care about it. Later this week, I'll care about it. Can we get Mr. Matheson to fax us the sheet?
You don't have it either, Mr. Goldberg.
No, I don't. See what I have. If you want to, Mr.
All right.
No, I believe it.
Who's got the phone number for Mr. Matheson?
Let's call Mr. Matheson.
I'm ready.
So to recap, they're missing a page from one of the documents.
Yes, they're missing
the
one
Fung
or more
documents.
pages. Yeah, one or more
Okay.
pages of the evidence access records.
I see. And prosecution is basically saying, well, we didn't have those pages either.
No, they said they thought they gave them to him or something to that effect. So now they have
Okay.
to find the documents.
Sounds sketchy.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. I don't care why you don't have them. Just can you get them here? Judge, you just being nice.
He's a little
Do you want to
flippant,
proceed
but
without it?
Well, I can proceed at this point without it, and I thought the court wanted to, get the documents and resolve the issue, and you wanted me to proceed.
So if we agree that what comes from Mr. Matheson is a copy of the original document, if you feel you need it to cross-examine Mr. Fung further, we'll get it for you, and hopefully we can get it faxed to us in a matter of minutes.
Oh, okay.
Both sides will get a photocopy and we can proceed.
Ms. Martinez is calling Mr. Matheson.
All right.
See if you can have it back.
Great. Okay. Let's proceed. All right, Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please. And can we have Mr. Fung, please?
And that is the end of this particular episode. We have now the question is, we've been going for 2 hours.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Fung.
Oh, did it restart or is this the next one? Yeah, okay. It just restarted. Stop screen. So, question, folks here watching this, all 382 of you. Do you want to watch 30 more minutes or do you want to wrap it up here? Just shoot a quick 1 in the chat for 30 more minutes and a 2 for let's all just go our separate ways. Just do that real quick here.
well, I'm down for 30 more minutes.
Well, so far we're 50-50 with a 1 and a 2. Lots of 1s. Okay. All right. We'll do some more.
You're gonna do it?
I would like to do 30 more minutes or so.
Yes, me too.
All right. So well, 69 isn't you. That's what she said is also not the answer.
Nice try.
All
Write
right.
in votes. Bart Simpson for president.
Yeah.
Now, OJ Thursdays, it's okay. Thursday's my favorite day of the week for a reason because we get to do OJ, and I hope that everybody here also comes to feel the same way because it's a really interesting trial.
I think so. That's why we're doing
Simple.
it. So,
It's it's a historic trial. This is a historic cross-examination. You want to watch it. You're here because you're interested in law, right? So
right.
let's do it. Let's do some more.
And while you're here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Like that video and subscribe. Let's see if we've picked up any new people since we started today. What have we done? No, we've actually lost 2 subscribers. Shame on you people. Shame on you that unsubscribe. Anyway, hit the like and subscribe, and then take our little like and subscribe poll, which we will wrap up here shortly. Currently, 6% of you said you hit the like and subscribe because just fung off. 30% of you said OJ funging did it. 31% said because he knew he funged up. And 34% of you said he funged up and found out. So yeah, we'll end that in a few more minutes. I don't expect the results to change too much. But before we go hunting for the next portion of the testimony here, let's clear off some of the super chats. D what says Legal Vices. Did you see the interview Eric Hunley did with the investigative journalist Chris Todd? Apparently OJ had a major mafia ties, and a mafioso named Charlie was OJ's accomplice. I did not know that, but we can add that to the theory, to the long list of theories and ideas and possibilities as to what actually happened. I was not aware of this particular theory. Huh. Okay. Jonathan said, slept on it. Zach verdict still sucks, and I hate it. Yeah.
It really does.
Can't argue with that.
It's painful.
Now, Jack No More says 135 behind, but you are 0-2 in trial predictions, and I'm 2-0. That is a completely false statement, Jack No More, for 2 reasons. One, the most glaring reason why that's an absolute false statement is I never make trial predictions. I just say how I would rule on the facts. I never even predicted how the jury would come down on any trial. Just how I think I would vote and how I think the jury should vote. You can never, and I don't know how many times I said that. There is no way to predict how a jury will react.
Nope.
It's 12 people acting independently together as a group, which is a weird dynamic. And the other reason why that's not true is, gee, by my count, I've only been personally wrong on 2 trials. So we kind of got a little difference in numbers there, I think, you know. Zachariah Anderson, I was personally incorrect. Murdoch, I was personally incorrect. But gee, I remember being correct on Florida v. Matthew Terry, the Stabby McStabface case. I also remember being very correct on Texas v. Juan David Ortiz, the Texas border agent that was deleting hookers. Daryl Brooks, obviously, I was correct on that. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, I called that one correctly. Rittenhouse called that one. See, so you're way off in that. Just because the last 2 of the jury didn't do what I thought should have happened, but everyone else, I've been dead on. The jury has agreed with my assessment of those cases. So the only thing I have to say to that is, gotcha, bitch.
Nicely done. Beautifully done.
All right. But thank you anyway for bringing that up. Just had to, rub your face in it. Oh yeah, 76-0 on Daryl Brooks alone. yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah, I should break them down into
my number of charges.
So an hour and 35 minutes from now, sadly mistaken you were. Unless I missed something, Lady Flux isn't here, says Jillian N. So, Mocha Dick Poon, Panther Prison. You forgot XOXO. She added that from the Anderson trial. So I'll add it for you. Mocha Dick Poon, XOXO, Panther Prison. I hope she and Mrs. Flux are enjoying their vacay. They are. They are having a wonderful, wonderful time, as well they should. I forgot about Big Pappy. Yeah. I like that. 76-0 on Daryl Brooks alone. I like that. Nice audio clip. Yeah, you know, you can never go wrong with Dave Chappelle.
I love Dave Chappelle. Big fan.
Yeah, the interview was 2 days. I saw that he was doing something OJ related. But we're just streaming the trial. the conspiracy theories, explanations. I'm not really looking for those, but maybe at the end, because there's a couple things I want to do at the end of, at least at the end of Dennis Fung, and then we'll have to figure out what we're going to do next. Whether we continue doing other OJ witnesses, whether we just start the damn thing from the beginning and do all 11 months for the next remainder of my natural life, or if we move on to some other trial and show parts. Where did Mocha Dick come from? That came from a Maritime Monday stream where we were talking about the shipping incident that inspired Moby Dick, and a male whale was called a Mocha Dick is what it was called. Like, yeah. So it's just a nautical term for a male whale.
The more you know.
And it stuck. Maritime Mondays can be very informative. For example, 3 weeks ago, we learned how a ship full of people wiped their backsides while at sea. So you can always learn practical things. A frayed rope dangling in the water. They haul it up, take care of their cleansing duties, and drop the rope back into the ocean to be cleaned naturally by the ocean as the ship sails through. So 400 years ago, I never thought about it, but that's apparently how they did it 300 years ago. All right. So John, you're missing the point. Everybody should go into a trial assuming innocent. I'm not sure what point John is missing, but that point is absolutely correct. In my opinion, man, in this chat, we're going on emotion. They decided Zach was not guilty at the start. Well, you're supposed to start with not guilty. Okay, now I get it. That's how you're supposed to go into every trial. You're supposed to start with the presumption of innocence, that the prosecution has falsely charged whoever the defendant is with committing a crime. And it is the prosecution's obligation to prove that they got the right guy beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, it's the foundation of our democracy. It's an essential aspect of our legal system, and they have the burden of proof. Prosecution always has the burden of proof. You have to remember that going in. Somebody made an interesting point. Oh, I'll get to that later. Sorry, go ahead.
We apparently tuned out all of the evidence that proved him guilty. Didn't see any of that, actually.
I was looking for it, and I was really ready to change my mind at any time, because if something proved to me that he was guilty of murder, I would have changed my mind easily. I mean, I was looking for it. I did not see it.
I have a question. Probably because it was in Wisconsin where she was threatened with it with the gun. At any rate, it was moronic for Mueller to ask that question. What question did Mueller ask?
I believe it was when she was trying to impeach the minor child witness about the weapon. And I don't agree. I mean, look, I haven't gone to law school. I'm not a lawyer, but I thought that it was an intelligent line of questioning. The question was, it was sort of like, have you ever seen the gun? What did it look like? Did you actually see it? Which led to the minor blurting out, for your information, I was threatened with that gun.
Yeah.
Nobody could have predicted that it would have gone there whatsoever. They didn't have information about the weapon or about that statement, and that statement was never made by the minor child in previous police interviews. So I'm sorry, but I disagree. I don't think Mueller could have possibly known that it was going there, and I think she handled it very well. But unfortunately, you can't unfuck a clusterfuck, like Nicholas said.
And John Gary says the presumption of innocence does not mean you stubbornly refuse to accept valid, credible, and often incontrovertible evidence provided by the state.
What evidence?
Absolutely correct. So
you mean like his DNA in the apartment?
I don't want to derail. Time out. I don't want to derail the entire OJ Simpson trial with this.
Sorry.
But John, should put one example of incontrovertible evidence provided by the state that you personally feel proved that he murdered Gutierrez Jr.
I'd like to know as well.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing. If you missed the stipulation, she was kind of lying about a lot of the gun-based stuff. They stipulated that she did not tell the truth. But anyway, just quickly put in here, John, one incontrovertible piece of evidence that proved to you that he committed murder. I know and John should have different. I don't want just a group of people that sit here and preach to the choir. That's no fun. And I mean, that's something I actually thought I wanted to do today. It was actually John who truly and honestly believes he was guilty and have a discussion, because I don't think he was. And everybody's entitled to their opinions. The DNA spec is one. Okay. And here's why I would say that is not incontrovertible proof. They could not say it was his. The only thing they could say is it didn't exclude him. He could not be excluded. The only thing they could say incontrovertibly was it was a single source and it was a male. He said they could not exclude him as a witness. And if there's a full DNA match, they'll use these great terms like there's a 1 in 3.5 trillion chance that someone other than the defendant contributed to the DNA. They couldn't even say, they couldn't even say it's a 1 in 2 chance. They just said that they could only exclude him. And then they got around that by saying, well, from the years I've been doing this, I believe to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that the DNA belonged to the deceased. But it was, I believe, it wasn't, there is a scientific, a specific degree of scientific certainty. I believe there was this degree. And also we had evidence that the deceased, assuming he is deceased, was breaking into the defendant's car before that. But anyway, that's what I like about these things. We are all entitled to that. We're all entitled to our ideas. And I like that we have different ideas. So everybody, accept our different opinions. We can have spirited debates, but nobody should be ostracized for having any opinion.
And we could be wrong. It's entirely possible that he did commit that crime and that the verdict is the correct one. Although I personally disagreed with it, I like seeing people who have these opinions because it helps me understand how and why the jury might have come to their verdict. And I think somebody had an interesting question about whether Barry Schceck would be interested in a crime case. I'm kind of compelled by that idea.
Probably not.
No,
because you Project Innocence usually just deals with DNA evidence and things like that proves absolutely that someone is innocent, that kind of thing. Just this unfortunately is just kind of a run of the mill murder. I mean, if you can say run of the mill murder trial, this is kind of what this is.
Well, I thought it was interesting, and I thought I should mention it in case you missed that particular chat. But in any case, I appreciate John's contributions, and it's interesting to be talking about it.
See, I want to go back and I'm gonna have to go back and watch the stipulation about his daughter not telling the truth. I can't remember exactly what the stipulation was.
I have a pretty good memory of it.
What do you remember it being?
What I recall specifically is that the daughter had previously stated in a police interview that she never saw the gun. That's a big disparity.
Yeah. That was it. She had never saw it, period.
Not at all.
Yeah. It's like I couldn't remember if it was just like in California or Wisconsin or what. So yeah, that they stipulated to that the witness, conveniently the state's witness was not available that day because his daughter had a volleyball appointment or something, volleyball game or something like that. Yeah. He was going to testify that in the police report, the daughter testified that she never saw the gun ever, which directly contradicts her statement that she saw it in Wisconsin. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's why we have juries. I guarantee you all 12 of those people sitting on the jury heard different things than the other people heard at least once or twice as the trial went out. Some people heard things others didn't hear. Somebody could misunderstand something. Someone could correctly understand everything. That's why we trust it to 12 people and not just one person.
Right. And everybody's biased, you know. I mean, even when you are an attorney like Jeff or a paralegal like me or just a layperson, everybody has biases. So you have to factor that in. Nobody knows what really happened except for Zachariah Anderson and Rosario Gutierrez if he's still living. So
well, if he's still living, we know he wasn't murdered. If he's dead, there's literally only one person on planet Earth that knows exactly what happened that day.
Exactly. And the fact that that question is still out there means that there's reasonable doubt. But, you know, the verdict came down. So I can't do anything about that personally. All we can do is process this and move forward and, you know, maybe talk about it some more later.
Go through the appeals process. It's, you know, that's how we do it.
But I appreciate all points of view. So it's nice to see a variety in the chat.
Yep. And on the final note, John Garrett makes a good point here. Also, while ZA not testifying can be held against him, it did prevent him from offering explanations for fire pits, boots, phone side. That's exactly that last part of the sentence is exactly what you're not supposed to be thinking about. That's saying you can't be held against him, but we're holding it against him because he didn't explain these he didn't offer explanations for these things. And so because he didn't offer these things, we didn't get to it. But I mean, that's kind of what we're not supposed to do. But I think even if he did go there, I think he would do much more damage than he did. But I mean, in retrospect, he couldn't really do much more damage. But at the time, I think it would have been much worse. Just, you know, circumstances. Anywho, I finally got us where we need to be. I was trying to read chat, talk to Chandler, comment, and search for the next step in the Simpson trial. Now we're ready to go. Yeah, I was like trying to do like 5 things. So instead of just focusing on one, it took me 5 times longer than it would if I had just focused on one. All right, here we go. What's going on here? What on earth are you clicking?
My ring light got unplugged accidentally. It's like on a stand. And then when I plugged it back in, I had like super bright light shining in my face. So I had to turn it down a little bit. Gotcha. Technical difficulties. All fixed.
All righty. Well, let's get on with this funging trial.
Let's do it.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Fung.
Good afternoon.
You reminded, sir, that you were still under oath.
Volume.
And Mr. Scheck, you may conclude your cross-examination.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Again.
Wishful thinking.
He literally says this like at the end of every session and the beginning of every session. I gotta turn that volume way the hell down. All right. Phew. All right. Ito really wants him off the stand, but see, and I can't remember at what point Ito gave up and stopped saying that.
I guess we'll have to watch him slowly degrade in his objections.
Yeah. Great success is how cold is it there where you are? It's never cold where she is.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's cold to an Angelino. I was born and raised in LA, and so my perception of
So it's
cold
like
is
65 degrees.
it's been like 50s for the past couple of months, which is unusual for LA. It's also been very rainy. But for us, that's freezing. So, you know,
Poor
I mean,
person.
I'm a pansy. I know. I mean, I've been in snow and I actually have a really high tolerance for cold, but it gets really cold in my apartment. So
You poor thing. I feel so sorry for you.
Well, how cold is it where you are?
Let me convert this.
Let me see. Everybody want a weather update from Los Angeles?
Yeah,
what do we got?
It's
50
raining.
degrees.
I see it's raining 57 here, and I'm in shorts and a t-shirt with my window open.
I am. It's colder than you, so I win something. I think.
All right. Okay, let's get on with this here. You are.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fung.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Fung,
Not really
when we
good
left
afternoon,
off,
though, is it, Mr. Fung?
We were discussing what you told us about the transfer of the blood vial to you in the foyer of Mr. Simpson's home on the afternoon of June 13th.
Yes.
Now, do you recall what you were doing just prior to the transfer of
Oh, we like somewhere in this, probably within this video, within the next hour or so, we get some cool video and photos that get thrown in his face. So that'll be fun.
This blood vial.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Stay tuned for action.
Do you recall that an item number 15 was retrieved from a trash basket in the foyer?
Yes.
And an item number 16 was retrieved from a bench outside the front door of Mr. Simpson's home.
I have checked any evidence of 15 and 16. Make motion to strike.
Not mentioning what it is, just that there were items in those locations.
All right, I'll allow it to stay.
Now, do you recall that?
Yes.
All right. Now, did you receive the blood vial before items 15 and 16 were collected?
That's funny. Still raining in Ireland.
No, I received it afterwards.
And you just refreshed your recollection by looking at your notes?
Yes, I did.
And the notes reflect that those items were picked up at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
And since you're telling us that you received this blood vial at 5:20, you have concluded that this was after those two items were collected.
Yes.
Now, but do you have, as you sit here today, an independent recollection of the order in which you received the items other than looking at your notes?
No.
Now, you mentioned to us that you thought that you put the envelope containing the blood vial in a paper bag or what you called a posse box.
It's a testimony.
Sustained.
But what is a posse box?
Posse box is a
How did that misstate the test? That's exactly what he said.
pad that's metallic. It has a cover on it that you can store the box that's shaped like a notepad, except it can carry things.
Did you have one of those with you that day?
Don't recall if we did or not.
Jesus, could you take longer to answer a
Were
question?
you carrying
Tom?
one to the best of your recollection that day when you left the Mr. Simpson's front door to go back to your crime scene truck afternoon of June 13th?
I don't recall if I was or was not carrying a posse box.
All right. To the best of your recollection, how did you carry this gray envelope containing Mr. Simpson's blood vial when you withdrawn? I take it at some point in time you left the foyer area and returned to your crime scene truck.
Yes.
All right. And you were carrying that gray envelope.
Either by itself, the box, or in a paper bag.
So it would be one of those ways of carrying it, either out by itself in your hand, in a paper bag, or in a posse box.
Yes.
And when you, okay. Mr. Fung, was it your idea to have Detective Van Adder take Mr. Simpson's blood vial from the Parker Center to Rockingham to deliver it to you?
No, it was not.
Did Detective Van Adder call you up and ask you if you wanted to have Mr. Simpson's blood vial booked at SID and a DR number bought before he brought it to the scene?
No.
Would it not be normal practice upon receipt of a blood vial for a detective to buy a DR number and book it either at Parker Center or at SID so the blood vial could be refrigerated?
Did I hear that right? That they didn't book the blood vial into evidence before it was taken back to the crime scene?
Yes.
That's a refreshment in my memory. I don't recall that happening. That's ungood.
Unless I'm hearing it wrong, but it sounds like we both heard the same thing.
I'm gonna go back a minute here, and we'll watch that last minute again because
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of seems important, maybe.
So yeah, you don't book it into evidence before you take it to the crime scene to put it in the fridge.
To have Detective Van Adder take Mr. Simpson's blood vial from the Parker Center to Rockingham to deliver it to you.
No, it was not.
Wow.
Did Detective Van Adder call you up and ask you if you wanted to have Mr. Simpson's blood vial booked at SID and a DR number bought before he brought it to the scene?
Yep, that's what they said twice. That the Simpsons' blood was taken. It was taken to Parker Center, and then they did not book it into evidence before taking it to Rockingham, the Rockingham crime scene location.
Why would they take it to Rockingham? What reason would they have to do that?
I believe that's where the evidence refrigerator was supposed to be, in the crime scene van.
So they had it, but they didn't book it into evidence.
And then they took it to the crime scene, where blood was found on a gate 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I'm not a criminologist, but that doesn't sound like procedure to me.
Yep, and that's what he's asking about. I just wanted to make sure I heard that right, because I don't recall hearing that. Wow. I don't remember a lot of things that happened 28 years ago, but yeah, that's a big thing. Gee, if I would have been ready for that, we would have got a goat noise out of that, but insert goat noise here. Let's go.
No.
Would it not be normal practice upon receipt of a blood vial for a detective to buy a DR number and book it either at Parker Center or at SID so the blood vial could be refrigerated?
Sustained without further foundation.
Do you have knowledge of the usual practices by which blood vials?
See, and I just love how his mind works, that he has the question and then the objection is sustained. He needs more foundation, and he doesn't do what other lawyers do and sit there for 5 or 10 seconds and figure out, okay, what do I need to ask to lay the foundation? Before, even barely gets finished with the sustaining the objection, he's already asking the question to lay the foundation.
Exactly. He's really sharp. I really admire him for that. Like, he pivots so quickly and he figures it out. He's the anti-Elaine Bredehoft. He handles objections so well.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just love how quick his mind works. Just on the fly. He doesn't get phased. He doesn't get flustered. It only happens a few times where he has to think for a little bit to figure out how he's going to get around the objection. But he just does it so quickly and so naturally, it almost feels like he isn't being refused a question.
Right. And there was this moment where he asked a question. There was an objection. It was sustained. And then he asked a better question that was more incriminating. So he's incredible. I'm very impressed. I just love watching him work.
Samples are booked in the course of cases.
It's Vegas to like criminalists.
Do you have knowledge of how blood vial samples are supposed to be booked or are withdrawn? Do you have knowledge of how blood vial samples are supposed to be booked by police officers?
I have a limited knowledge of that.
And that limited knowledge comes from the LAPD manual?
In part, yes.
And the practice is that upon receipt of a blood sample taken from a suspect, that the detective is to book it either at the property room or at the SID.
There's still an inadequate foundation, Your Honor.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
What's the difference?
The-
What?
Manual is used as a
I don't
guide,
understand what's
and
being asked.
that's the guideline for officers, yes.
Has anybody discussed with you the phrase, the manual is a guide?
Overruled.
Did Detective Lang have any conversations with you about the LAPD manual being considered a guide, but not a guideline, or just a guide to govern the conduct of officers?
I have heard him say that, and I've heard many other people say that also.
When did you hear Detective Lang talk about the rules in the LAPD manual being guides?
I don't recall when. It was sometime after this investigation started, though.
About how long into it?
I don't recall when. I do recall him as being one of the people who said that, though.
And do you recall how that subject came up, that the rules in the LAPD manuals were to be regarded as guidelines?
I don't recall the exact, what led up to that conversation.
Was it a discussion in which you were pointing out to Detective Lang that he hadn't followed the rules in the LAPD manual?
No.
Well, with respect to your knowledge of the LAPD manual, is it not the practice that a blood vial taken from a suspect is to be booked as soon as possible?
Well, that makes sense.
There's no foundation in this practice.
Overruled.
He's a criminal. He's supposed to know the. That's
Oh my God,
literally his effing job.
I want him to read from the manual so badly. Like, it reminds me of the way that Dennison crossed John Hughes.
Mhm.
It's so good. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really excited now. It's really good.
I mean, I love this. It's like, does the manual say that's lacking the foundation that he knows what his job is? Because it's his job and he's supposed to know what practice is.
Could you please repeat the question?
From your knowledge of the LAPD manual, is it not the rule that a blood vial taken from a suspect blood sample taken from a suspect is to be booked as soon as possible?
I don't know if that's exactly what it states.
Well, in terms of your understanding, does that comport with your understanding? Is that consistent with your understanding of what the rules require?
That's vague.
In other words, shouldn't you fucking know since it's your fucking job?
That's somewhat consistent with the
Somewhat consistent.
exact wording or of what the manual wants.
So you do know what the manual
And
says.
In terms of your understanding of the manual, the practice in this case should have been for Van Adder our number down at Parker Center and book Mr. Simpson's blood vial either at the park or at SID.
Calls for speculation.
Sustain.
When we talk about booking a blood vial from a suspect, do you mean that vial in the analyzed evidence envelope is handed to somebody at the evidence control unit at SID?
According to the manual, I believe the definition of booking is the registering of property into
now glitter fart.
departmental
Don't
records,
get personal. Everybody
the
has
process
their
of entering
opinions.
into departmental records, evidence, or persons.
And your understanding of entering it into departmental records would mean in the case of a blood vial, such as the one at issue in this case, that it would be turned over to someone at the evidence control unit at SID. That would be one way of doing it.
Well, if we're going exactly to the letter of that definition, as soon as it's marked on some type of departmental record, that would begin the booking process.
Okay, so explain what happened.
When we used the term booking before, all right, withdrawn. Would not the booking of the blood vial be accomplished by taking it to the evidence control unit, handing it to the clerk, buying a DR number, and having the blood vial refrigerated?
In that order?
Yeah.
You couldn't do it in that order.
And then give it to someone at the evidence control unit so it could be refrigerated.
That would be the final stage of booking.
Could Detective Van Adder, under the rules as you knew them, have done that on June 13th? Gone right over to SID after buying a DR number and give the clerk at the evidence control unit the blood vial?
Good question.
Sustain.
In terms of your understanding of the rules, would that have been consistent with the rules?
Oh, well, you can answer that question.
That would have been one way to have done that.
And isn't that the way, in your experience, it's ordinarily done by detectives?
Sustain.
You have been working as a criminalist for 10 years. 10 years, my apologies.
Oh,
and you have been doing crime
less is
scenes
better
for how
in this
long?
situation.
Almost 10 years.
And in your experience, is it not the ordinary practice that after detectives get a blood sample from a suspect, that they take it to the evidence control unit and book it there?
In my experience, I have never had a detective obtain a blood sample that quickly.
So it would be your testimony that in your experience, you've never known a detective not to obtain a detective withdrawn. In your experience, what you know is that detectives ordinarily get blood vials from
my
suspects
microphone's been
and book
muted,
it.
so I don't know how it's been crackling and cutting out.
Sustain.
In your experience, have you ever before been in a situation where a detective obtained a blood vial from a suspect?
Sample. Sample. You keep saying blood vial.
Okay.
Sample.
Thank you, Your Honor. Obtained a blood sample from a suspect, and instead of booking it downtown where it was taken, at SID or at Parker Center, drive it all the way back to a crime scene. Has that ever happened in your experience?
It's irrelevant.
Oh, well.
I can't remember one instance where that's happened.
Thank you.
Are we about exhausted this line of inquiry?
So he can't recall an instance where that's happened, but
Yeah.
it was done that way at that time. So he did break procedure and protocol. That's what I'm getting from this.
Kind of. At least we
To your knowledge,
established he
there is a
knows
place
what the
in Parker
protocol
Center
was.
where this blood vial could have been booked and refrigerated if a DR number had been obtained. You know that.
Blood samples can be booked down at Parker Center.
So you examined, you've told us, this blood vial.
I looked at it, yes.
And in looking at it, you determined that it had been drawn, at least by the markings on it, at 2:30 in the afternoon.
I looked at the vial to see intact, and I did look at the envelope, but I don't remember all the writing on the envelope.
So you can't tell us whether or not this was actually drawn at 2:30 in the afternoon.
I don't remember. I'd have to refer to the envelope itself.
But as far as you knew, before Detective Van Adder brought it to you, he'd been carrying it around for some hours.
I didn't stop to think how long he'd been carrying it.
Did you inquire of him how long he had been carrying around this blood sample?
No, I did not.
Did you consider that part of your responsibility in terms of maintaining chain of custody?
No, because that would be his part of the chain of custody.
You don't consider it your responsibility as the criminalist that's gathering and booking evidence to determine where objects before you get them?
It's my responsibility to record when or where I get things from and when I dispose of them, or not dispose, but remand them into the custody of somebody else.
Well, you were concerned enough on June 13th that you actually opened the envelope up and looked at the blood vial when Detective Van Adder gave it to you.
Yes.
Before withdrawing, Detective Van Adder have any way of contacting you from downtown on the afternoon of June 13th?
Yes.
Beeper? You wear a beeper?
Yes, I do.
Beepers.
Carry a cell phone?
Yes, I do.
Ooh.
You could have been beeped then
Cell phone in 95.
and called on a cell phone
Yeah, thank
and asked by Detective Van Adder if you to have this blood vial taken from Parker Center all the way across town to Rockingham.
Overruled.
I don't give anybody my cellular phone number. He could have called DHD.
Because it costs
or
like
the
$1
office
billion
and
a
had me
minute
paged,
to
though.
receive calls.
Could you
back
explain
then.
that? He could have called where?
Counsel, he said he's got a pager.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had a pager, so
He was available by
you
pager.
were available, could have been called by a pager.
Yes.
During the course of the day, had you been contacted by Detective Lang or Detective Van Adder through that pager?
No.
Were you contacted by Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
You recall being contacted by Mr. Matheson around 12 in the afternoon while you were at Bundy.
I don't remember being called by Mr. Matheson at that time.
Do you recall sometime around midday that Mr. Matheson called you while you were out at Bundy and asked if you needed any help at the crime scene?
I don't recall.
Didn't happen?
I just don't recall if that happened.
Now, so it's your testimony, sir, that you were never contacted by Detective Van Adder before he brought the blood vial.
Yes.
Now, on the morning of the 14th, you received some tennis shoes from Detective Lang.
Yes.
Now, you told us just before we broke that you recalled this occurring around, what, 7:30, 7:40?
between
Miss
7:30
Vicious says
and
the audio is so choppy, glitching, it's
o'clock,
driving me
around
nuts.
that time,
I'm
maybe
listening.
a
That's
little
why
later.
I'm on mute
And
here
this
because I'm
occurred,
listening to
you
it on my
say,
phone and
in the
it's perfectly
serology
fine on
lab?
my phone. So I don't know
To the best of my
what's happening
recollection.
between
Could it have
my
been in
YouTube
the
and your
evidence
YouTube,
processing
but I
room?
hear it perfectly fine.
I don't remember.
Could it have
My
been
YouTube
in the
and your
evidence
YouTube,
processing
I
room?
hear it
Line
perfectly
being in the
fine.
evidence processing room.
Well, you told us that when you saw Detective Lang had sneakers with him, that he was in the serology lab.
Yes.
And the swatches that you'd retrieved from Bundy were in the evidence processing room.
Yes.
They were in a cabinet.
Yes.
It was unlocked.
The cabinet? Yes.
The liquor cabinet.
Now, there's a computer printout that shows who enters and leaves the evidence processing room during a particular day.
It records when somebody uses their keyless badge to open the door.
Right. And the way this keyless badge works is that there's a little rubber kind of thing that you put your badge across. Is that right?
There's a and it somehow detects the card, and if your card has the proper access code, then it'll let you in.
Now, if you were walking through the door of the evidence processing room, and let's say I was standing next to you, and you used that sensor, your badge, right?
Yes.
The door would open,
Yes.
you would walk in, and I would walk in.
Yes.
But there would be no record that I entered.
That's correct.
The only record would be that you entered.
Yes.
You indicated before that you reviewed some record, Mr. Goldberg, of what they call card transaction reports indicating who went in and out of the evidence processing room on the morning of June 14th.
Looks like they got the documents
Yes.
they needed really quickly.
Now, isn't it true, sir, that you entered the evidence processing room at 7:45 on the morning of June 14th?
It's unclear whether he's asking for his personal recollection from the document.
Oh. I would have to refer to the document.
Your Honor, I'd ask that this document be marked defendant's next in order.
1100. What happened to 90? We used 1099? Got it. 1100. 1100.
1100. May I approach?
You may.
Mr. Fung, I show you what's been marked as defendant's 1100 and ask you to examine it. You may continue to.
Hold on. Hold on. All right. Thank you, Counsel. Mr. Scheck.
He's just gonna get real cozy right up next to the witness.
Yeah.
Just chatting.
Now, what do you recognize that document to be, sir?
Except for Mr. Goldberg, you need to not stand between the witness and the jurors.
I've never actually seen
Out of the way,
one of
Goldberg.
these documents before, but
Wait, what?
it looks like one of the, well, I have seen the document before. I take that back. It's a card access document.
And does this appear to be a card access document for the morning of June 14th?
Yes.
And does it indicate, sir, that you were in the evidence process in 45?
It indicates I used my card for entry. Yes.
And does it indicate that you then used your card for entry again at 7:50?
Yes.
Does it indicate that Mr. Matheson was in the evidence processing room at 7:44?
Yes, it does.
Now, having looked at this document, is your recollection refreshed that when you entered the evidence processing room.
Don't know why I still have that up.
At around
Sorry.
7:45, the morning of June 14th. That's where you saw Detective Lang with sneakers?
I don't recall the sneakers and him being there. That's just my recollection.
But as I understand your testimony, you recall seeing Detective Lang between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, sometime around then.
Yes,
That's when the meeting occurred with you, Detective Lang, and Mr. Matheson, to the best of your recollection.
to the best of my recollection.
And looking at these records, now tell us, sir, if that meeting could have happened in the evidence processing room.
It calls for speculation because this record doesn't have anything to do with that.
No, it calls for his recollection.
A portion of the meeting may have occurred there. However, I specifically remember the sneakers being in the serology lab, along with Mr. Matheson and criminalist Yamuchi and myself.
Is there any reason, Mr. Fung, that you don't want to remember Detective Lang being in the evidence processing room with the
argumentative.
sneakers when you walked in there?
Sustained.
Just a little argumentative.
I love that.
Is there any reason you don't want to
When you
remember?
saw Detective Lang on the morning of June 14th with the sneakers, you realized that he had taken them home.
I don't know if he had taken them home or not.
Did he know that he had recovered these sneakers from Mr. Simpson's residence on the afternoon of June 13th?
Sustained.
Mr. Fung, you were responsible for itemizing in your reports when and where those sneakers were recovered.
That's not exactly true, no.
No?
In my report, I am responsible for stating how they came into my custody.
And are you required to determine from the person who's giving it to you where and when the items of evidence were recovered?
It's my practice when I receive evidence from other or from police officers or detectives that I specify that they keep good notes as to where and got or recovered the evidence. And I am only going to put down in my proper report that I received it or that I received the evidence from them.
Did Detective Lang show you any notes about where and when he had recovered the sneakers?
No.
Did he indicate to you in any way that he had recovered these sneakers on the afternoon of June 13th?
Sustained.
Okay, this is a good place to end here today. I think we got our extra 30 minutes in. We got a few comments to go through here that I think are
Sure.
doing well. Yeah, let's see. Looking through here. Wait, what? Someone says, "Ha, Jeff missed Flux's first super chat." Flux didn't send me a super chat. Don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, whatever. Flux has not sent a super chat. I have not missed it. Anywho, whatever that was all about. A couple things we've got here, and then we'll wrap it up. That I just starred and took notes of. It was Flux's first super chat to her. I think he meant on her channel. What? Okay. Don't know why that's funny, but it's like, okay. Didn't know I was supposed to be there for the first super chat. I'm in the middle of a show. Got it. Yes. Probably Flux got her first super chat on her recently monetized channel. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I know she's been monetized for like 2 or 3 days now. 2 days? Been 2 days yesterday.
Something like that, yeah.
I haven't slept. It was yeah, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Just lack of sleep sort of runs all of my days together. Anywho, what we got going on here is 4 last things here. The disconnect is this channel is purely invested in the legal merits, not the outcome per se. The trial was dirty. That's the issue. I mean, really, you shouldn't care whether someone did something or not. You should care whether the burden of proof has been met. That's kind of how I think things. I want to know, is the process carried out? Is the integrity of the process maintained? And
right.
Simpson case and in the Anderson case, I don't think it was.
I don't think so either.
Gigi, okay. Anything else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, I was just going to say, the thing with the Simpson trial is I have my opinions on whether he committed the crime or not. The problem is that if you're going to prosecute, the whole thing needs to be clean, so to speak. All of the police need to do their jobs, above board. All the evidence needs to be collected in a way where they're marking everything down, they're writing everything down. When it looks sketchy, if it's probably a duck. And I mean, in this case, there was so much indication that people fudged the evidence, that people didn't mark the evidence properly. It's very clear to me that the defense is doing their jobs very well. And I think it's really important the defense does their job. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. And, Dennis Fung's behavior as the criminologist in this case was one of the primary reasons I think he was found not guilty. And Fung. I think those are the 2 reasons that he was found not guilty.
The 2 Fs, so to speak.
Yeah. The double F case. It's like double F.
Yep. They effed it up for sure.
All right. Vices, have you ever looked into the KFC murders in Kilgore, Texas, in 83 or 84? One of the victims was my Sunday school teacher. No, I haven't. Wow, that sucks.
I know about a McDonald's murder, and I know about a murder at a different chain restaurant that I can't remember the name of, but not KFC.
We had a Burger King murder here in Korea.
Oh, really?
Way back in the day. I think they made a movie out of it, actually. Brad Sylvester, I still don't understand how you can be found innocent in a criminal trial, but be found guilty in a civil court. Okay. Not quite exactly correct. In a criminal trial, you are found guilty or not guilty. You're not found innocent. You're found not guilty, which essentially means the guilt hasn't been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Not guilty and innocent are different animals. You can be guilty but found not guilty. So yeah, that's the terms for the criminal cases: not guilty and guilty. In a civil trial, you're found liable for something.
Yes.
The judgment doesn't say you're guilty. It'll say you for whatever reason, we rule in favor of the defendant or the plaintiff and award however much money like that. So yeah, you're found liable. You were going to say something. Sorry, Chandler.
Well, when you're in a civil court, the charges are completely different. So, for example, in this case, the charge was for homicide. And then after OJ was acquitted, there was a civil case, and it was a wrongful death suit. When you're in a civil court, what you're trying to find is damages. Can you prove that somebody had damages, which is like a loss of income or an amount of money that they are owed for a specific civil infraction? Civil infractions are completely different from criminal ones. So for wrongful death, that's different from murder. And there's a different burden in civil court, and there's a different burden for those kinds of charges. So they found liability, which led to damages being awarded that unfortunately the families of the victims never really fully collected on. But Jeff is correct in everything else. I just, it's really important to clarify those things.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. I was reading something here and flagging it to be read at the end. All right. Again, I hope that answered that question and set that aside for you there. Agony Goose. I like that. I'm actually struggling to follow this. Does the lawyer ever get to a point, or is he just shut down by objections and moves on? Well, the objections, and see, this is why people say, well, how come the defense doesn't object, or how come the prosecution doesn't object? This is a good example of objecting way too much over minor things that they're going to come in. It's just going to take longer if you object. Because this whole last 10 minutes we were watching has been focused on whether one of the lead detectives, Detective Lang, took OJ Simpson's tennis shoes home with him rather than booking them into evidence. And all the objections being, okay, on this day at this time, what objection? Okay, before that day, it's just forcing him to go even further and further and further around, but he'll get there. So with the way the objections are handled, and then the way that the Barry Schcheck is conducting this cross-examination, he's in it for the long game. Some of these questions won't make sense or won't seem relevant until minutes, hours, and possibly even days later. And I would describe it as like a fishing net, like a trawling net. You throw out the net, you drag it along the bottom for a little bit, and as you go along, you slowly haul it in, which slowly squeezes until you get caught in the net.
Exactly.
So it takes a while.
Because he's not allowed to testify, Barry Schcheck. He has to get the testimony from Dennis Fung to paint the picture, to tell the story that he's trying to tell, which is that, evidence was taken home. That's improper. Evidence was taken to the crime scene before being booked. That's also improper. A lot of improper things were done. I know that it's frustrating to watch, Agony Goose, but the point really is less about the attorney and it's more about the witness, that he's being evasive and he's not answering these questions. And he looks like he's either extremely incompetent or like he's involved in some kind of cover up or, planting evidence. That's my interpretation. I could be wrong, but I'm focused on Fung and how evasive he's being and how bad that looks for the prosecution because he's their witness.
Absolutely correct.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Is he prosecution's witness or defense's witness? Sorry, I forget. Yes. This is direct?
This is cross-examination.
Oh, okay, it's cross. Yeah, okay. Then I was then prosecution's witness.
Yeah. D. Watt says, it's okay, boomer. We all need sleep, especially at your age. 1, not a boomer. 2, as you get older, you need less and less sleep. Scientific fact. There's your lesson for today. That's why old people wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go mall walking because they don't need sleep.
Well, I fell asleep at 7 yesterday and I woke up at 11 and I've been up since then.
That's why you messaged me like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was.
Yeah, okay. The Anderson trial really took me out, and after we read the verdict, I was just like, I had to take a nap. I was so tired. So here I am. I hope you get some sleep soon, but you're doing great.
Yep, I'm going to sleep soon. It's nice to go to sleep at a normal hour. It's only 1 o'clock in the morning here. It's not 4.
That's a reasonable time for sure.
My body's going to wonder what to do.
Burning the midnight oil.
my dog is going to be like, hey, wow, it's him again.
Like Hayden kept waking you up, and that's you deserve some sleep.
That was the instruction. Beauchamp says, hey, Vices, thanks for covering this. Very educational. And that's the whole purpose. Again, for those of you that joined late, it's not to prove innocent or guilt or to change anybody's mind. This thing happened 28 years ago. You've all made up your mind whether he did it or not. It's just to show you some of the greatest cross-examination and other testimony you'll see. And once we finish with all this great cross-examination, we might just go back and show you some really bad direct examination by both parties.
You learn what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
I'm getting an education, that's for sure.
And finally, regarding this, Dr. Henry Lee, I just love Dr. Henry Lee, one of my heroes. I love the guy. Dr. Henry Lee summed up the OJ case pretty well when he said, if you find a cockroach in a bowl of spaghetti, you don't just take out the cockroach and keep eating the spaghetti. If you find a cockroach in your case, you throw the whole case out. Jeff, you should wake Hayden up just for the fun of it.
Payback.
That makes sense. Well, everybody, we are here at the end of another Thursday, an OJ Thursday. What's going to happen tomorrow is I'm just going to do a chill stream. The gauntlet has been thrown down. For those of you that don't know what a mukbang is, it's one of these weird things that Koreans started, where just like grotesquely obese people overeat on camera for money. But I'm going to do a modified version of that because Meme Copium threw down the gauntlet and challenged me to sample this new concoction from KFC, from Korean KFC, which is essentially 3 deep fried chicken patties with pickles, cheese, sriracha sauce, and chili sauce. So I'll just be eating probably one of those. I don't know if I'll be able to finish the whole thing even. It just sounds really greasy, and there's like 1,100 calories in one of those things.
Oh, I'm sure there are. That's a low number. I'm surprised that it's that low.
So I'll probably starve through lunch, eat breakfast, probably starve through lunch and get ready. Yeah, it does sound disgusting, and it looks really bad too. The mukbang thing. So I'll be doing that, and I will be also consuming a delicious bottle of my favorite soju, my Korean soju here. It's so black the camera won't focus. 41% alcohol soju. You may have seen Andrew Legal Mindset drinking Hwayo soju, but his is only 25%. This is 41%. I tried to find the 53%, but it seems to be sold out all over the country. It's good soju, so we'll be eating this weird deep fried chicken burger thing. We'll be having Korean soju, and if you were here last week when I opened and sampled the horrific flavored whiskey, the peanut butter flavored whiskey, I made peanut butter and jelly ice cream with it. So we'll be testing the ice cream tomorrow, along with that'll be like our beverage and food course will be the chicken burger and the Korean soju. And the dessert will be the peanut butter and jelly ice cream that I made this evening. So that's where, and it's just going to be a chill stream. We all need to decompress. We'll just talk about whatever comes to mind. We'll, chat, do a lot of chat stuff. We'll have some super chat grifting going on for the fun of it. That'll be Friday, just a total chill Friday. Starting on Monday, we'll do Maritime Monday, and then we're going to start looking at the ice cream murder thing, the ice cream murder retrial. We'll start with day 1, opening statements. We'll do the morning set. We might do both. We'll have to see how long it goes. We might do both opening statements, but we'll see how long, if that's something people are interested in, if it keeps you guys entertained, if it's worth my while as far as, viewership and super chats and stuff go. We'll continue doing it. Otherwise, we'll just do something else. But we'll start doing that with the opening, like morning session one day, afternoon session the other day, and that'll keep us going for a while. If that's what we want to do. In the meantime, we'll keep doing other stuff as well. Just having fun. So all right. It'll be a fun time. It'll be a good times will be had by all. Next Thursday will be some more OJ, and there's some other things to talk about in the meantime. So with that, everybody, I want you all to have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it to or with, and however it feels. Just make sure you enjoy it and you enjoy your legal vices and enjoy Chandler Remington's brand new channel, which is Remy _ it's at Remy _ legal, REMY _ legal, the same as her Twitter feed. So go subscribe to her YouTube channel, follow her on Twitter. You will not regret it because the videos are going to start rolling this week.
Yes, they will. And thank you so much to everybody who's subscribed so far. I have close to 600 subscribers and no videos up yet. That's kind of amazing. I'm a little bit incredulous. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I hope that I can deliver amazing content. So thanks so much to Jeff for bringing me onto his channel. I've had an incredible time hosting and, co-hosting. It's been a wild ride, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do it. So thank you so much, Jeff. I've been very happy to be here.
All right. So join me for fun games and shenanigans tomorrow. And then more of the Maritime Monday stuff and the ice cream murder guy trial next week. And several weeks after that. So take care, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry I have to shut down your conversation of the Zachariah Anderson trial in chat here now. Pick it up tomorrow where we can all join in and talk about it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow. Mods, thank you. Chat, thank you. The supporters that super chatted, thank you. Subscribers that unsubscribed, go to hell. And those of you that subscribed to me, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Wait. Not yet. There's something I starred. Oh, never mind. It wasn't a super chat. We'll read. JKD Buck said that KFC mukbang will turn your lower intestines into Chernobyl. I hope the morning after you're not upside down volcano. I'll be fine.
I'm sure he'll be fine.
All right. And on that note, bye, everybody. I'm out.
Bye.